Hectic. Welcome in, guys. Happy Tuesday. Holy shit. Also, hold on. I'm also fixing my microphone. Yeah, sure. Microphone. That's what we'll go with. That's totally fine. But welcome in, guys. I'm still having tech problems. I tried to get... Hi, I forgot the fishing game. But I also I tried to test the 3D model again, and it's still not working for some reason. Now back with the power of myself, I cast Armstrong. Oh, shit!
Making a mother of all omelets here, Jack. Can't spread over every egg.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm sorry, guys. I tried to get up early this morning and run to the grocery store. But it took me so long because I had to go to the pharmacy that was in there, and that took like 20 plus minutes. And then it took me forever to find the ghee that I needed because, for fuck's sake, there's only one product of ghee in my entire supermarket, and it's in the baking section. It's not in the dairy section. So it took me forever to fucking find it. Why run car easier? That's true. Or Dane, holy shit, thank you for the 40 stream streak. You can also have this. Oh, thank you for renewing your season pass. Wait, I had some tech problems. No, what kind of tech problems? Also, hold on, what were you doing? Arts, you were arting. Are you still drawing backgrounds? Is that what you're doing? Are you still drawing backgrounds? Jesus. But hi, Marceline. All right, guys. Yeah, I'm sorry I was a little bit late. I had to do grocery shopping because I'm making curry later tonight and naan. I'm going to try making naan myself for the first time. Does anybody else absolutely fucking love naan? Like, I'm batshit crazy for naan. And half the time, like, when I think about going to like an Indian restaurant or something, I'm thinking about how much extra naan I'm going to buy. But, oh, what was it? I usually like try to get more, but it's so expensive to buy it not at grocery stores. Hi, Goopy. No, wait, that's not Goopy. I'm so used to Goopy's name used to be Surushi, and then I read Sorishi, and I was like, oh, that's Goopy. No, it's not. What is wrong with me? Just before I finished stream, I was working on a carnival background. Ooh, yes, yes. Doll supremacy. Doll supremacy. Are you talking about like the... Okay, yeah. The like, it usually has like squash and lentils and stuff. Oh, I love it so much. But no, I'm making Thai curry. I'm making Thai curry today, but I was like, but I want to make naan for it. It's an excuse to make naan. But all the ingredients I got were like really expensive altogether. Jesus. On the upside though, I bought like a massive bag of flour only to come home and find that we still had another bag of flour that was like 2/3 full. I was like, well, damn, I didn't need to buy this. Surushi or Sawoshi? Surushi. But it's Goopy now. It's just Goopy, I'm pretty sure. Or Goopy Sue. That's what it is. Goopy's name is now Goopy Sue. Chat, did you hear about what D&D's releasing? Have you heard? Have you seen? It's a couple years late. Oh. Super. Holy. Oh, y'all started a hype train. Holy shit. Super. Thank you for gifting a sub to Oranges. Hell yeah. Oranges United. If y'all haven't seen it, Dead by Daylight's next killer is Kin Kaneki from Tokyo Ghoul. Not a skin, a whole ass killer. They're like 3+ years late to the fucking party. But yeah, Kin Kaneki is coming to to fucking Dead by Daylight. Be playing him when he releases. I know you are. You always go for adept in every new killer, Carrie. Played a Yu-Gi-Oh game? Wait, what do you mean? Oh yeah, I played Master Duel on stream, like on this stream, like once. And then I think I only played it on TikTok after that. And I haven't played it since. I have not played it in a long time. It's been over years. Here, actually, I can check. I can check the last time I loaded up Master Duel. Because it's not even downloaded right now. June 8th, 2024. Okay, so it's actually not a year ago. Huh. I think I did it to like see if I had any promos or something. I don't think I actually played some matches, but I do like a lot of card games. They're really fun. 13th of March is streams Silent Hill F. Huh? Oh, you mean like the announcement of Silent Hill F? About like what it's gonna be? Why is this so hard? I'm hungry as fuck. I'm gonna go be a menace to the cabinet real quick. Don't break the cabinet, Carrie. I have to specifically say that because if I don't, you may break something. You're no Bananiel. I still like that quote. I'm sad Bananiel has not been here to see it. He swings by on occasion, but damn it. Next time Liz is here, I'll tell Liz to go grab Bananiel so I can show him the quote. And I think the person who I said that to still comes by. I think their name was like Banana Man or something. Hi, Laser Shark. What are you getting into? What trouble are you getting into? What shenanigans are you up to? Hold on. What else is going on in the world of not TikTok, Twitter news? BlizzCon's coming back. Okay, but why? They already announced everything that's coming out, like, for the next 3 years last year. What do you hope to see for Overwatch 2? It die and burn, and we finally get Project Titan, where we get an MMO in the Overwatch world. I used to dream of going to BlizzCon, and now I'm just like, I don't think I want to do that shit. I don't think you could probably pay me to go to BlizzCon, but I don't think I would be able to convince myself to spend money to go to BlizzCon over, say, like TwitchCon or Offkai. Sadly, though, I'm not going to any conventions this year again, because now we're saving to move. Can I burn the Overwatch 2 servers? Yes, you can. Mid-work shift installing Blender because I learned I forgot already. What I learned I forgot already. Gotcha. Yeah, I re-downloaded Blender a week ago or actually I already had it downloaded. I downloaded it on Steam because like, oh yeah, it's on Steam. I was like, wait, didn't I download Blender a long time ago? And I like went to my Windows search thing and typed in Blender, and I have Blender 4.1 already downloaded. Super, thank you for gifting a sub to Idle Iris. Oh shit, wait, oh, were you trying to push the thing to the next level? It was so close. Yeah, Blender's on Steam. Blender's a free 3D modeling program, and it's really good. So if you've ever been considered, like, the door to entry for 3D modeling is on the floor. The question is, do you want to walk through the door? And I just need to like have the time and the will to do this stuff. The thing is, I get too easily distracted when I start trying to learn new things that I will only do like little bits here and there, to the point where like I'm not actually learning anything in the way that like, how to word it, where like I'm trying to learn something and I learn something so minute and quickly that I then get distracted afterwards that I don't actually learn it. So then like when I'm doing shit, I rely on constantly having to Google how to do things. Especially because like so many features and stuff are sometimes buried, and it's the same thing with editing. A lot of times when I want to do like cool edits or interesting stuff, I always have to finagle the fucking things in what is it, DaVinci. Is being used professionally as well. It's a lot of places that use it instead of Maya. Ooh. Yeah. Thank you for gifting a sub to Socks HR. Holy shit. Did you select that one, or was that a random one? I'm very curious. Was that a random one, or did you pick that one? Because that's impressive. All right. Random? Really? That's funny. That's really funny. I'm still scrolling through the BlizzCon thing to see if they're going to talk about anything. But it looks like it's literally just September. September 2026? What about BlizzCon this year? Where's 2025? God, all the people on here are asking about fucking Overwatch 2, which is so embarrassing. Oh, it is coming back to Anaheim. Okay. Not coming back till 2026? That's nearly 2 years away. That's closer to 2 years than it is to 1 year away. I remember Socks the cat from the Clinton era. Socks the cat. Socks the cat. Oh my God, I do remember Socks. Oh my God. The White House cat? Hold on, he has his own wiki page. Socks the cat was the pet cat of the Clinton family, the first family of the United States from 1993 to 2001. An adopted stray, he was the pet of the Clintons during the early years of the administration, and his likeness hosted the children's version of the White House website alongside the Clintons' dog, Buddy. After President Clinton left office, Socks resided with former Clinton Secretary Betty Curie and her husband, owing to continued conflicts with Buddy. Yeah, if anybody doesn't know, there is a pseudo-tradition among U.S. presidents that when they move into the White House, if they don't have a pet, they get a pet. It's usually a dog. They usually get a dog. And I don't know how early that became a tradition. And I know Trump hasn't done it because I don't think that man could keep a pet alive. Big announcement on BlizzCon. They work now just on COD. Oh, good Lord. Oh, good Lord. I beg you, no. I beg you, no. Please just give us World of Warcraft 2. Like, fucking kill it and rehash the whole thing. Stop just shitting on top of a 20-year-old engine. It's just slapping extra shit on top of so much extra nonsense. What the fuck? What the fuck? I'm just gonna keep scrolling on that one. Yeah, we're gonna keep scrolling on that one. I would not wish Trump on any dog. Correct. He wouldn't take care of it, right? There'd be some intern in the White House that would have to take care of that poor dog or poor cat or whatever. I'm also a little surprised we don't have like the goofy thing that like the UK does with having the chief mouser. Why don't we have a chief mouser? We need a cat that lives in the White House and is the chief mouser of the United States. We give him a goofy honorary title and he stays there president after president after president. And you know what we do from there, chat? We take that cat more serious than the president, okay? That's what we do. That cat is more respected than the actual president. A dog, but how will it make me money? No, let him get a dog. He'll only trot it out for photo ops and that poor creature will smell the evil and bite his face off. A chief mouser wouldn't stand so many rats. Penguin, I could kiss you. That's hilarious. I could kiss you. Wasn't there a mayor? I believe there was. Let me see here real quick. Mayor cat. Here he is. Stubbs the cat. Stubbs the cat lived between April 12th, 1997 to July 21st, 2017. That's the day before my birthday. Was a cat who was the honorary mayor of Talkeetna, Alaska from July 18th, 1997 until his death in 2017. Whoa. That cat had a longer stint than most other mayors. Stubbs was described as a tourist attraction, having been flooded with cards and letters and drawing 30 to 40 tourists each day, most of whom were en route to other Alaska destinations such as Denali. Who hoped to meet the mayor. His position was honorary as the town is only a historic district. Every afternoon, Stubbs went to a nearby restaurant and drank water mixed with catnip out of a wine or margarita glass. Stubbs died in 2017 at the age of 20. Wait, he was mayor from when he was a kitten? Damn. Can't go tell this kid to go get a job. The English state exists entirely through humor filling in cracks in the system. The American system is functionally humorless. Correct. And we think it's better that way for some fucking reason. Yeah, he was a mayor all his life. Oh, here it is. In 1997, Lori Steck, manager of Nagley's General Store, found Stubbs in a box full of kittens in her parking lot. The owners were giving the kittens away. Steck chose Stubbs because he did not have a tail. Stubbs was widely described as having been elected after a write-in campaign by voters who opposed the human candidates. But NPR pointed out that this could not have happened because the tiny town had no real mayor, so there was no election. Nagley's General Store was used as Stubbs' mayoral office during his tenure. Stubbs was featured in an effort to protest the 2014 United States Senate election in Alaska when people urged voters to write Stubbs in on the ballot. Stubbs was featured in a video criticizing both the Democratic and Republican candidates for Senate. One opinion writer for the Alaska Dispatch News insisted that the whole story was false and that Talkeetna did not have a cat mayor. Oh. In 2015, Stubbs was growing older and thus slowed down his public presence. He died on July 21st, 2017. His owners said that he was a trooper until the end of his life. Stubbs lived to the age of 20 and 3 months. Stubbs' owners have suggested that another family cat, Denali, may assume Talkeetna's mayoralty. Aww. Typical career politician, lazing around and doing drugs all day. Listen, having his catnip martini. It's fine. It's fine. No. In 2013, Stubbs was attacked by a dog. He was placed under heavy sedation at a veterinary hospital 70 miles away in Wasilla, having suffered a punctured lung, a fractured sternum, and a deep cut on his side. A crowdfunding page was set up to help pay his veterinary bills. Stubbs remained in the veterinary hospital for 9 days before returning to the upstairs room of the general store. As a result, he was discouraged from roaming. Donations toward his care were received from around the world. The surplus was given to an animal shelter and the local veterinary clinic. Oh no. Other incidents include Stubbs being shot by teenagers with BB guns, falling into a restaurant's deep fryer, which was switched off and cool at the time, and hitching a ride to the outskirts of Talkeetna on a garbage truck. Can you imagine, one, how bad do you think those teenagers were going to get beat up in a back alley? That works for the railways? Oh, I know the railway cat. Railway cat. Okay, no, I was not talking about Skibbleshanks from Cats. I was talking about Japanese railway cat. Tama, there he is. He's so handsome. He's so handsome. Okay, how old? Oh no, he died in 2015. No. Kibby. Gotta keep working. I'm gonna see the stream in between calls. Hell yeah. Thank you for the lurk, Laser. Career politician, I can imagine losing a vote to a dead pet. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. There's also a cat in Japan that works for the railways. Yeah, that's the one I just read. Okay. Let me see. Station Master. He had a Twitter account, died of apparent heart failure. No, it's okay though. He was 16. He lived a full life, okay? People, when they see some jackass teenagers shooting, yeah. Exactly, Ordain. What kind of absolute fucking thrashing do you think they got from like their parents? Aww. Oh, they called him a beckoning cat, a Maneki Neko. Aww. Let me see. Officially awarded Tama the title of Station Master in 2007. As Station Master's primary duty was to greet passengers. In lieu of an annual salary, the railway provided Tama with a year's worth of cat food and a gold name tag for her collar, stating her name and position. The station master's hat was specifically designed and made to fit Tama and took more than 6 months to complete. In July 2008, a summer hat was also issued to Tama for hotter weather. Tama's original gold name tag was stolen by a visitor on October 10th, 2007, but a replica was quickly made to replace it. That motherfucker. Oh, wow. The publicity of Tama's appointment led to an increase in passengers by 17% for that month as compared to the January of 2006. Ridership statistics from March 2007 showed another 10% increase over the previous financial year. A study estimated that the publicity surrounding Tama has contributed 1.1 billion yen to the local economy. Tama is often cited as part of a phenomenon in Japan known as nekonomics, aka catonomics. A play on the term Abenomics. Nekonomics refers to the positive economic impact of having a cat mascot. How dare you attack our mayor and the little shit to your room now? No TV, no phone for 6 months. You're not allowed to date until you're married. We're learning cats are far better than humans. Correct. Listen, animals are better than people in most ways. In most ways. Wait, Tama had his own office? Oh my God. On December 5th, 2007, Tama was recognized as a grand prize winner of the Railway's Top Station Runner Award. The year-end bonus was modified to a special cat toy and a celebratory slice of crab, which Tama was fed by the company president. On January 5th, 2008, Tama was promoted to Super Station Master, a title equivalent to superintendent rank, in a ceremony attended by the president of the company, the mayor, and approximately 300 spectators. As a result of her promotion, she was, quote, the only female in a managerial position in the company. Her new position had an office, a converted ticket booth containing a litter box. Her gold name tag was modified to a gold tag with a blue background, which had an S for super, also corresponding to the highest grade in the Japanese grading system. So when do we elect the cats as our overlords? God. Tama was, oh, wow. Tama was knighted and awarded the title of Wakayama the Knight. A pun, it goes of it's gotta be Wakayama in Japanese by the prefecture governor for her work in promoting local tourism. Listen, this cat accomplished more than I think most of us had. Listen, I believe in Tama. In Tama, I trust. This keeps going. Oh my God, a Tama train. They gave Tama a train. Oh, it was decorated after her.
Enjoy the show.
Razby, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. How are you doing? So when do we elect the cat's overlord? If it's called Texas toast, why not Texas shaped? Because it's big. It's big toast. Everything's bigger in Texas. Oh, here it is. On January 10th, railway officials promoted Tama to the post of operating officer in recognition of her contribution to expanding the customer base. Tama maintained the station master job while taking over the new job and was the first cat to become an executive of a railroad corporation. Her staff consisted of 2 feline assistant station masters, Tama's sister Chibi, who was born in 2000, and Tama's mom, an orange tabby cat named Miiko. Is the local combi now? No, Tama, not Toma. Tama. In August 2010, in honor of Tama's 3rd year as station master, the station building at Kishi was rebuilt with a new structure resembling a cat's face. Both the Tama train refurbishment and station rebuilding projects were overseen by industrial designer Eiji Matuka. Tama's 4th year as station master was celebrated with a ceremony and her promotion to managing executive officer, 3rd in line in management after the company president and the managing director. On January 5th, 2013, at the ceremony celebrating her 6th year as station master, Tama was elevated to honorary president of Wakayama Electric Rail for life. On April 2013, it was announced that due to Tama's increasing age, her work hours would be reduced and she would only be on view in the station office Tuesday through Friday, a reduction of 2 days from her original Monday through Saturday hours. Tama died June 22nd, 2015, at the age of 16 of apparent heart failure at an animal hospital in Wakayama Prefecture. After her passing, thousands of her fans from all over Japan came to pay their respects. She was honored with a Shinto-style funeral at the station and was given the posthumous title Honorary Eternal State. Oh, I'm gonna cry! Oh, I'm gonna cry! Oh no! Oh, it's so sweet! She was enshrined at a nearby Shinto cat shrine as the spirit goddess Tama Daimyojin on August 11th, 2015. It's so precious, though. Oh, no. Eternal tyrant of humankind and over God? No. Oh, my goodness. After the funeral, Wakayama Electric Railway President Mitsunobu Kojima and other executives went to the area by Kishi River where Tama was born and selected stones to build her memorial. Stop crying. I'm crying over nothing. Oh, Jesus. The plaque and the bronze statue of Tama are located in a small Shinto shrine called Tama Jinja. Jinja? Jinja. I don't know, next to the station. After the traditional 50-day mourning period, Tama was succeeded by her deputy, Natama. Natama's first official duty was to be conveyed to her predecessor's shrine to pay her respects. No! No! Oh my goodness. I can't even hold myself together. That's so sweet. Stop pissing on the floor, furry. Oh my goodness. Hold on, I gotta read this quietly to myself because trying to read it out loud is making it worse. And it's giving me fucking voice cracks. Oh my goodness. Oh. Oh, it's so sweet. Oh, damn it. Ah, damn it. At the anniversary of her death the following year, Tama and her two predecessors, Natama and Yantama, were carried to her shrine and offerings were given. Oh. I need to cry, but my foundation is $48. No. Now my voice falls apart when I start crying. I don't even have a crying expression for this model. This sucks. Aw, hi, Fire Chief. Okay, sorry. That was apparently one of the oh my goodness. One of the predecessors for Tama's position was a cat named Sun Tama Tama, aka Third Tama, which is so fucking funny. They never grow up, they just get older. That's true. Most people never actually grow up, they just get older. Oh my goodness. Aww. Oh, Tama's Twitter account is still active. Oh my god, they still post with the successor cats. Aww. So when's Morgana becoming mayor? We can't let Morgana become mayor because Morgana's not a cat. At least according to Morgana. Morgana's not a cat. Oh my goodness, hold on. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, I always cry over cats, okay? I was doing the same thing last night before I went to bed. I was scrolling scrolling an art website, and one of the things I came across was somebody made like a little comic as like memorial to their cat that passed away, and it made me fucking cry. Are you saying non-cat cats can't be in charge? No, but like, Morgana's not exactly a good leadership role model. No. It's so sweet. Okay, I need to stop looking at this because I also haven't found any of the videos for us to watch today. Oh my goodness. Wait, the greatest Paralympic scandal of all time? What? More food? Yes, I promised, because last week, and I think the week before, we didn't do any food stuff. Oh, also, give me, where is it? Where is it? Give me these back. Give me these back, because for some reason, that redeem doesn't work properly. All right, hold on. Oh, God, Dancing Bacon went to Costco. Dang, they really haven't done anything interesting, though, since we last looked. It's been 3 weeks, and they've done the fucking gas station Chinese sweets, Korean gas station sweets, a train dining thing, and then they went to Japan Costco. Do we want to see Japan Costco? I kind of want to see a Japan Costco. Chat, we're going to watch the Japan Costco one, because I want to know what a Japanese Costco is like. I haven't even been to an American Costco. Cusco. Please, no British food. Oh, we won't watch British food. We'll actually look at good food. We'll look at good food. I promise, chat. I promise we will find good food. We may do some of those like historical videos where like people go to like snazzy, like the hotels and stuff. Oh my goodness. Okay. Watch Rakinafel's video of just nuisance, bestest boy of World War II, Royal Navy. No, because I'm gonna cry because he's dead. Japanese Costco's probably baller. I wouldn't doubt if it's like fairly similar. It probably just has more Japanese products in bulk than American products. Wait. Knowing pizza in Japan is an expensive affair. $13 for a whole Costco pizza, undoubtedly an unbeatable buy. Oh no. I was gonna say, if I remember correctly too, I think the Japanese, maybe it's the Japanese Costco, because I think we've watched something like it before. They have a seafood pizza as like an additional type of pizza they have at their cafe. Firestorm. Can't wait for the cheap chat. No, do not call it a fucking glizzy, dude. It's a hot dog. Jesus Christ. I will never understand how people were like, yeah, glizzy's a good word. No, the fuck it isn't. I hate glizzy. Pemmican. Pemmican? Why does that sound familiar? A mixture of tallow, dried meats, and sometimes dried berries. What about pemmican? 2025, the word glizzy needs to end. Wherpst. Hoomst. Wherpst. This is Wherpst. Oh no, Maxor released a new video for Red Dead Redemption 2. Oh no. Warm winter camping food, cream stew. Ooh. I don't know. Winter, what is this called? Hot springs. Who's up for winter hot springs? Really calorie heavy? Pemmican is? That makes sense. It says it's cured meats, berries, and something else. I already forgot what it was. Goodness. Sorry, now I have the hiccups. Faye! You gave me your tears. Stop giving me your tears. It's apparently, what's the word? I discovered that in Pathologic 2. I still have them. No thing, it's spreading. It's spreading like a virus. It's an internet virus. Who'da thunk? Who'da thunk? Testing my subscribers' struggle meals. Why is this man pouring a bag of Frito-Lays into a pan with 2 eggs in it? I have several questions, and none of them I'm probably going to get the answers to. California's Forbidden Highway, Highway 39. Hey, chat, want to learn about the geopolitics of the Vatican? We're not actually going to do that. Octocrine disease, the weeptopus, if you will, not the weeptopus. Oh, no. Oh, no. I visited every pool at Disney World. Why? Dang, the stuff people will do for fucking content. Yeah, I'm gonna go sit in every pool at Disney World just because I can. Goes and stands in a water fountain. Kin Survival, comfy solo camper / camping reviews. Oh. Meow way to convince every VTuber I love the channel by using code merry-go-round at checkout. Let's go! Oh wait, no, sorry. No, I love who likes to play spooky Pathologic too. The chat moved at the same time and I didn't realize it. Confusing. I don't want to make people uncomfortable having to call the. Oh, Jesus. Okay, Trash Toast. No, I'm not a bot. I've been banned for my name and not explaining. To prove I'm not a bot, I'm sorry. It's a lot to read. No, you're good. Welcome in. Thank you for the follow. Wait, that's so weird. How many people just ban you because, like, listen, your name is totally fine. The names that I get concerned about are ones that, like, sometimes end up being real people. I'm trying to scroll to see if there's an example recently. That will be like their name will be like 3 letters. It'll be like, we'll say like Ren. It's RIN or something like that. And then it's like 6 to 7 numbers. Those are the ones that I'm always like, I'm pretty sure that's a bot. We've seen Shelter 54. Paleo, we've seen Shelter 54 like a month and a half ago or something. You would like to play Pathologic too? No. I'm not going to play Pathologic. Because I know it's a nightmare of a game if it's the one Pathologic 2. Okay, yeah, this is the game I thought it was. This one is like, it's a very slow burn, poor understanding. It's something that would probably also take a while. Yeah, I was going to say, Pathologic 2 is also deemed one of the most difficult games to finish. The 2 is a remake? Okay. And? Example, Lee 28484 is the bot-ass name. Exactly. Exactly. Or hell, sometimes it could even just be a single letter. Oh my. I just hear a car door. God, I hope somebody didn't just get home. Hope somebody didn't get off early. I'm listening to see if I hear anybody open the door or something. Doesn't look like it. I think it was the neighbors. Oh, hold on. Maybe it's the mail truck. Maybe it's the mail truck that I'm hearing. I know Tasting History dropped a new vid. Maybe. It's my hyperfixation since 3 years ago. 3 years of Pathologic 2 hyperfixation? That's crazy. I know it's a good game when you can actually beat it, but I know it's hard as shit. I know it's hard as shit. Ah, damn it. I'm trying to see if China's biggest traditional communal home for more than 600 people? God damn. Oh, wait, wow. Hold on. Wait, I kind of want to see this. This looks awesome. Here, we'll watch this afterwards at some point. It looks almost like, I think the best way to describe it for anybody that may understand the formation, it looks like a globe theater. Does anybody know what a globe theater looks like? I stay in the world's oldest underwater hotel. Oh no. Oh no. Of a secret Japanese wholesale market restaurant. Secret. Wait, third demo. Pathologic's getting another game. I like that Super said Fatalogic. Ordain, what you waving at? What you waving at, Ordain? Wait, you don't know Lee 28484? That's crazy. I mean, no. Totally not. Totally not. I'm sure it's fine. Oh no, we're not gonna do Earth ships. We're not gonna turn today into like a sustainability talk unless it involves fish and relation to food. But no, I'm not gonna turn this into, guys, this is why solar punk is cool. No, I promise we're not gonna do that today. Feemsh. Yes, Feemsh. Nothing, not me looking for one of my sigil books. Uh-oh. Heard some news today. Let Me Solo Her of Elden Ring fame has moved into Monster. Oh, really? Put on the Chobani commercial again. No. I'm allergic to Feemsh. Wait, all Feemsh? Are you allergic to all Feemsh? Can you eat shellfish? Or are you just allergic to shellfish? Interesting. But updated Japan entry rules. Ooh. Interesting. Okay. I'm trying to see if I can find... No. Chat. Ooh, not the substance. Ew. I keep getting recommendation videos on like the movie The Substance, but I've already seen it. And for anybody who hasn't seen it, I would rather not do a deep dive in The Substance because, oh, good Lord. It is very good. It is very good. But I saw that movie once and I was like, you know what? I get the message. I don't need to see this again. It was made for me. All right, Faye, go take The Substance. I dare you. Go take The Substance. Go on. Are you playing the thing remastered? I don't have it. I may play it at some point if I get it. I need to get the retro model working again, though. For some reason, my tracking shit is busted and it's still pissing me off. I will. We're one. Oh, no. I love that explosion emote so much. Just Aki being so fucking happy. Hi. Boom. It's so good. It's so good. But Yeah, it's been so long since we looked at food videos that it's like, oh, come on. Most of the recommended is not like that great. Also, I found out this was yesterday when I was at the grocery store, not today when I was also at the grocery store. I found out my grocery store actually has like frozen. What do you call it? Bibimbap. I've never said that out loud because I haven't had it previously. But I found out that there's freezer versions. Like you can get the Bippin. I'm pretty sure it's Bibimbap. Bibimbap. Hold on, I forgot how to spell it. Bip. Is it Bimp? No. I thought this was it. Is it rolls? Do I need to add rolls to it? Okay, yeah. Yeah, but there's freezer ones. I did not know they made freezer ones. And they're big. They're fucking huge. Bip and Bap, yeah. Bip Bap Bop. Oh my god, this is not... What the hell is that furry? Speaking of Hyperstation, currently doing balls deep in modern vintage occult rock. Occult rock? Oh. But also, what is up with the emote selection? Quick, Hans, give me a flamethrower. Hans, give me a Flammenwerfer. Beep, boo, boo, bop, bop. No. You're thinking of the one that goes beep, beep, boo, boo, bop, beep, boo, bop. What is it? Or dang, what do we stat? Clickbait. Oh. I see. Goofball. Gimbop. Is that it? I think it's Gimbop. I don't know. Regardless, I didn't get any, but I saw them because they were, for some reason, my like whole supermarket is remodeling essentially right now. And because of that, shit's like all in weird places. So I found it when I was walking past the seafood freezer, the like freezer section that's usually right next to like the seafood market. But and I don't want something that's... Hold on. I want... No. I know what we're going to do. Xiao... There it is. Xiao Hong Shu. Chat! We're good. Actually, I'm not going to show you my, like, general feed. I need the food section. But unfortunately, the browser is only in... What is this? It's not changing categories for me for some reason. Why? It's saying something, but I don't know what it's saying. Oh, it's refresh. Oh, am I not signed in? God damn it. Why am I not signed in? All right, hold your horses, chat. Hold your horses. Okay. There it is. I need to do the QR code sign in. Okay, there we go. There we go. But yeah, currently going hard for Mox Stern. Mox Stern. I'm eating Mox Man. Propaganda time. Propaganda time. Unfortunately, though, it still doesn't translate, so I have to like click through the categories to figure out which one. Okay, I think this one's food. Yeah, this one looks like it's definitely food. Chat, are you ready to get propaganda? Propaganda, follow the Marin. Hell yeah. Subliminal messaging, baby. Did you scan your QR code for today's showtime? Did you remember to scan your QR code, chat? Chat, I have a hot take. I've said this hot take before. Well, it's not that much of a hot take, but I know some people don't like it. I think QR codes for restaurant menus are a good thing. I think they're better. I think they're better in every way than a paper menu. Propaganda. I can get a propaganda with those titties. No, I'm kidding. Wait, we got QR codes? See, this just means you're not a real fan, Ordain. How could you? How could you? Praise President Xi? No. In QR Pay? Do you mean like it's better? No, shut up. I don't want to have to fight your ad-filled, virus-ridden website to read what you sell fucking burgers. But Hanedu, it's better logistically and easier to manage because then you get to look at the menu on your own phone without having to touch menus that hundreds, possibly thousands of people have touched. Nor is there degradation, nor do they have to reprint things anytime they decide to change the menu. Like if they 86 something, they can just turn it off on the little online app. Gasp, propaganda. I thought we were getting propagandade. No, it's gonna be about food. We're gonna look at food. Sorry, chat. I lied to you. This is not seemingly propaganda. They ain't happening in real time. It's worked at places that I've been to. That I've both been to and worked at. But I just think it's better than a paper menu. But it's always like, there's always those fucking people that like, you like put a QR on a table. Plus you can just have it like stuck to the table that people can just get without having to like get up or anything. Miss me with that woke, liberal, communist, Marxist, socialist, radical left bullshit. The tiny kappa. Hi, Netu. Up. What are you up to today? What's today? It's Tuesday. Duh. Wait, I tried to scroll. Why is there more? Give me more videos. There's only like 4 rows of videos. There's barely anything to look at. No. Here, let me go see if I can go find my likes. Oh, security verification. Oh, this is kind of cool. Wait, what the fuck? This is a very weird... Do I just... There? I don't understand how I'm supposed to line this up. These aren't the same. I don't think this thing's working right. I have pomegranates I need to twirl, but there's no pomegranates on the art piece behind it. It looks like crab apples? Okay, maybe it can go like... And like, even then there's like these little signatures and they don't line up. They don't match. Is it broken? Maybe it can go like here. Oh, that looks like it could work. Oh, come on. Okay, this actually kind of looks like the right fucking fruit. Except it does like this weird... There we go, finally. Man, maybe I am a robot. There's absolutely things that need to be apps/sites, but not everything. Hell, my work scanner is a fucking phone that accesses the site and it breaks constantly. Yeah, it's a thing again, though, it's like, I think it'd be more logistically possible and easier. Like it would mean like the hosts or the waiters don't have to have a time where they like clean menus. They don't have to like reprint menus. And like, depending on all of that, that's a big hassle. Comrade Computer says it's correct. Are you doubting Comrade Computer? Listen, it's fine. It's fine, okay? Another thing, though, is I don't think I have a lot of new likes that I haven't shown y'all, so we'll probably see a bunch of like the old ones. What's even worse is it's almost all food, except one video I have here of a Hawaiian dance to one of the songs from Lilo and Stitch. The Kilauea song. It might save paper, but I promise it doesn't save my goddamn patience. That's why I don't leave the house. But Hanedu, you already don't have a lot of patience to start with. I cast hungry tummy. Your computer, our computer comrade. Oh no. Oh no. Sudden urge to run paranoia? Exactly my point. What's harder? Waiting for a menu to get there that's going to be like gnarly, nasty, and worn out? Or just scan a QR code that's already on the table as soon as you sit down? Like, plus it's less work for all of the other employees. And easier to 86 things. As long as people are using it properly and not being absolute scumbags with it. The hostess still grabs menus as they walk you to the table. A lot of places I've been to, they grab the menu second. Because depending on how busy the night is, they've been putting like the menus in like a secondary station that's further back, and they've like run out at the front. Sounds like a Texas problem. No, I like the QR codes. I like QR codes. Especially, well, I'd hate to say it, but like my city's been fucking slowly gentrifying. So there's even, oh my God, chat, can I tell you about a funny burger place that's here? It's like a sandwich / burger place, hot sandwich place. We'll call it that. Because work, have fun. It works until the OPC crashes. OPC. I mean, usually it's hosted on an external server, Subway. No. It's not Subway. It's a local place. I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but it's funny because, and I wish I was joking, the owners are extremely religious. And I'm talking like to the point where you walk in there and there's prayers on the wall. They have a massive projector over the bar because they stream church services throughout the week on like 100-inch projector TV. And they use all QR codes. That was one of the first places I ever went to that had a QR code thing like on their tables. And it was so funny to see like all of these old people or people coming in like after church or before church on like Wednesdays and stuff, coming in and then griping that they have to use their phone for the app or for the QR scanner. Electronic payments, I dreaded the thought of teaching QR code magics to the Eastern European equivalent of a boomer. Yeah. That's probably why, like, in the US and a lot of other places, fucking, what is it? Like how China has QR pay, and like that's more of like a primary form of payment over there. Like you'd never be able to get the old people over here to do that. They'd bitch and complain the entire time. They'd be absolutely fucking livid every time they had to make a payment. I still know people to this day that only pay things with cash. And I'm like, why? Why? In full corpse paint, the heaven shirt, and yell, what? No, it's not that bad. Like, it's all there, but like overall, I think I've only been there, I think twice. I'm pretty sure twice. At most. And I think about it, because I drive past it almost all the time. Because it's on like my way out of downtown. I had to use this QR code to pay. How dare you assume I would use that shit?
Enjoy the show.
You're gonna steal my information from my phone. Ghostly, thank you for the follow. See, that's a bot name. Ghostly124368. It looks like a bot name. Steal my information from my phone. I saw a lady whip out her checkbook yesterday. Oh my God, I don't even have a checkbook. To be fair, cash is more anonymous and less money in payment providers. Hi, Ghostly. I'm not a bot, thank you. I know, it was just making a point. There was somebody that came in earlier that like was also new that was like, I'm not a bot. I swear it was, where is it? Daddy Trash Toast, but all of the like A's were X's. And apparently people think that he's a bot all the time. Just make it all themes, high-tech theme, low-tech theme, easy. Maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 was taken. I wouldn't doubt it. I would not doubt it. Also, we're getting close. We have just over a minute until the ad break. So I'm going to go ahead and get y'all words on stream set up at least. Okay, we're already good. Once we get back, we'll probably go over some of these random straight food videos that I have saved on Xiaohongshu. So chat, remember, if you want to avoid ads, you can pick up a sub. You can pick up Twitch Turbo, which I recommend Twitch Turbo if you watch like more than 2 streamers regularly and you're tired of ads, because it works on every streamer. And with Twitch Turbo, you don't watch the ads, but all the streamers you watch get ad revenue as if you did watch the ads. Time for arson. Oh yes, Ordain's regularly scheduled arson. Cooking breakfast. What kind of breakfast? Broke person crying. It's okay, Ghostly. It's okay. Listen, so many of us are broke. So many of us are broke. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, I'm using Turbo. I like Turbo too. I'm gonna go blast some blood, so the devil's blood, and swing my fat. What? Furry. What? Twitch is promoting Turbo with banner ads? That'd be an issue if I used Twitch. Wait, what? I'm making egg sauce and cheese bacon bread. Oh, that sounds awesome. All right. All right, guys. I need to run to the bathroom, so I'm going to give you all the words on stream. Sunstar, you have control of it. I will be back in a few minutes, guys. I had coffee after I left the grocery store. I got another one of those little like Japanese coffee cans that was there. So good, but they make me go to the bathroom. Okay, what I missed? What happened? What did Carrie do? What happened? Where are we? I went downstairs outside to bring the trash cans in, and now I can't see the lines in the... What? What? I can't see the lines on my chair anymore. What? Oh, what song is this? This song is The Last Stand. The Last Stand by Sabaton. I don't know. Okay, yeah, it doesn't look like anybody answered Ghostly. All right. We good? We good? Nothing's on fire? Nothing's ablaze? All right. Faye, do you want distraction time or do you want to chill? I was gonna say, would you like a distraction from the tears, or are you just hanging out? Is me sitting here a good enough distraction? We can go look at the cool cheesecakes and stuff that I have saved. Permission to chill, boss? Permission granted. Let me go ahead and hop into the server.
Connected.
Propaganda at this food. Ask. Okay. All right. We'll swing over to the other screen. My fingers from bleeding as I make breakfast. Ooh, wait, why are your fingers bleeding? That's concerning. Anyway, welcome to the propaganda site, chat. Anyway. Wait, did it say it saved your position? Oh, never mind. That's the group PNG thing that I had whenever I was on the 3D model.
Oh, now there's two of me.
Yeah. Hold on, I can fix it.
No, chat, you can only have one. We have to shoot the imposter.
I will do what must be done.
I know it's hard for you, but I'm proud.
All right, let's do this.
Goodbye.
Okay. But now I need to move the movable you.
No, this is the correct me, as far as you're aware.
Curse you into your games, eldritch woman.
I'm sorry, alright?
Gotta make your own amusement.
It's
Chat, this
not
is gonna-
my...
Sorry, go ahead.
It's not my fault that sometimes I undergo parthenogenesis and there's just a clone of myself. I don't know. They just keep showing up. I don't know what to do.
Is this what happens from the your ass is so fat that you get stuck in doorways moment? This is the only way you can fit through doors is by butting.
Listen. I didn't ask.
Listen, I'm gonna keep making jokes, and then at some point I'm gonna have to be like, you know what, QB, I'm gonna need you to make a butt version of the other emote that I just got. We're gonna make a Faye butt emotes.
I didn't ask to have hips wide enough that a child could cartwheel their way out of my body, but here I am, I guess.
Any good ideas for a trap sigil emotes? Trap sigil emotes.
A circle.
Obviously a
Start
circle.
with
No, just make it like a bear trap on top of like what looks like a pentagram.
Right?
Oh yes,
You
this
could
is my
use-
magic trap circle. It's literally just a bear trap on top of a chalk drawn pentagram.
Oh, apparently I have 5 minutes before I have to go, so get to the propaganda, woman.
It's working yet?
Well, if I could see it,
Oh shit, you can't see it. You're right. I'm sorry.
I sure wish I
It would
could
be useful if I could share the screen.
If I could see the
Are
propaganda.
you going to run errands, I'm guessing?
No, Sai was kind enough to look for a more American. Yes, excellent propaganda. It's very good.
I was gonna say, this lady just does videos like this all the time where she plays the bass for various songs. I sent you one at one point.
I think so. I think you put it in the house chat, but yes, no, it's perfect. No, Sai was kind enough. She was like, "Damn, bestie, you're sad. Here, I think I found American style pizza for you."
Let's go.
So we're gonna try it and see. For some reason, they put onions in their pepperoni pizza, though.
Like it's in the sauce, or
No, like as a topping.
is it caramelized onions? Raw
I don't
onions.
think so. I think it's just chopped onion.
You could probably just ask them to do it without it.
Oh no, we did. Or rather, she did, because she was the one that ordered it. And she was like, "You should come with me so you can try a slice in the car in case you don't like it." And I'm like, "I think I will." So,
Bad pizza's still good pizza.
pizza is pizza. The issue with... Oh, there is some delicious food I am seeing here.
Yeah, these are some of the... Also, real quick, before we get through, I just want to play this.
The dance, yeah.
I put a like on this because I thought it was really neat. and it's a very nostalgic song. I'm so used to hearing it, and I never got to see the translations.
Yeah.
Onion is not too unusual. Onion goes in a lot of things.
But on a plain pepperoni pizza?
True.
As the only other topping?
It's just so cute. It's just so sweet. The thing, unfortunately, though, I actually did go check this channel. This is not their channel. This person just steals dance videos and uploads them.
That's sad.
It's the channel is such a hodgepodge of different videos.
Come
Yeah,
on,
I'd see that on a
Corn.
veggie pizza. That makes sense. Caramelized onions, though, you could put on anything because they're so sweet.
Yeah, but these aren't caramelized. Is for some reason in Norway they'll be like, ah yes, this regular pizza.
All right.
Corn.
I like corn on pizza, okay? I used to put I've mentioned this. You know, remember the shitty square pizzas at school?
I'm gonna present to you like a plain cheese pizza with just random corn on it and nothing
Okay.
else. Because that's what they do over here. And I don't understand.
What's wrong with the red onions on my nachos? You don't use red onions on nachos. You use white onions.
Red onions aren't that big of a deal. Also, I'm so sorry my visit with you was so short, but thank you for the propaganda. I'm gonna
That's
go
okay.
get the pizza, and I will report back in chat if the pizza is good or not.
Hell yeah.
You are a wonderful hostess and friend. Chat, behave while I'm gone, or else
Enjoy your
no
pizza.
for you. Eat my pizza. Bye-bye.
I want pictures. Yes, excellent. Chat, I have a random pop quiz question for you. For some reason, this came to my mind earlier, and I didn't realize it before. This is going to be extremely random. You have no idea how my mind functions. It functions above all of you. But riots? What do you mean riots? Chat, where do you think potatoes come from? Where do you think potatoes are native to? While I slowly scroll through all of these other things, like these chicken wings.
鸡翅两头剪掉，方便去骨。
鸡翅两头剪掉，方便去
Oh,
骨。
right.
鸡
Okay.
板虾滑，
再挤满
Here. This is South America? Correct. No, South America. They're from Peru. Peru and Chile. Yeah. Yeah. That's where they came from. You just went the continent? No, you could have been more like Andes is a good answer because they were mountainous tubers. But for anybody who I have mentioned this person before, so this is I believe this is a Chinese girl who will essentially watch like the professionals do recipes, and then she does them herself, being like, what's the guy's name on YouTube? That's like, he's basically like, I'm the average person, so let's see if I can make these things. It's just bouncing off now. What do you mean? Bouncing off?
拌虾滑，
油热下锅，
油热下锅，
Is his name Future Canoe? I don't know what his account
等
name is.
到两面都变金黄，
倒半瓶可乐，
这不就
Cola.
是升级版的可乐鸡翅吗？
倒入料汁，
啥这么好的料汁啊？给我急的呀！
盖盖煮5分钟，
中小火煮5分钟，
大火收汁，
Listen, there's so many cool like wing recipes
多来点芝麻和葱花。
that I have never seen before where they like
一口
remove
一
the
个
bones
连骨头
beforehand.
都不用吐，比可乐鸡翅还好吃啊！
I'd like to do that. But oh, this is another one that I have saved that I really want to try. These like butterflied wing drums? I think these are full-size chicken drums. Garlic! Thank God. Was that the garlic water he just poured on those? I think that was the garlic water. It's so simple. Butter, garlic, stirred. And then back in the oven. Hell yeah. Enough garlic to keep vampires away for a lifetime. Thank God. The chairman lives on in convenient scrollable format. Hi, Annie. How are you doing? What trouble are you getting into? Oh my goodness. Future Canoe is the one that takes fancy recipes and usually screws them up like a college dorm student substituting ingredients. That makes sense. That makes sense. Also, the cheesecake recipes I was talking about were these because they're absolutely bonkers. Also, Annie, if you're not doing anything and you want to hang out, we're being stupid and like looking at food videos on Xiaohongshu that I have saved, and then we'll look at what my feed has in a minute. How does garlic protect you from vampires? Vampires don't like garlic. Oh, I think that was lemon juice. I think that was a little bit of lemon juice that she squirted in there. Yeah, that's lemon juice. Okay, so it's a blueberry lemon cheesecake. Gelatin. Garlic won't save you from me? Wanna bet? Look at this koala.
G'day everyone, how are we?
You're going on the head. Oh,
Yeah, I am a perched koala.
a
I am
perch.
Perched.
Perched, gotcha.
I am perched on a head.
To say purged? Is Australia wiping out koalas now? Have they decided the drop their pandemic is too much?
Okay, no, it's the other way around. We're trying to save the koalas after our Conservative government abandoned all funding for our volunteer firefighters, so they all burned to death a couple of years back, so we're now trying to save them.
And they literally won't eat their only source of food
Yes, because...
unless it's on the branch and on the tree.
Yeah, and a lot of those edible trees burnt down in said same fire, so... Yeah.
Fun fact, I'm pretty sure, isn't that also what's leading to California's forest fires right now?
Yes, same thing.
Excessive eucalyptus essentially spontaneously combusting.
Yeah, you see, Australia's ecosystem is... apologies about my squeaky chair. Australia's ecosystem is specifically designed to burn itself down because of the way our sort of, ecosystem works. Nature sort of does its own controlled burns, if you like. The problem is America's ecosystem doesn't do that.
Yeah, they fucking put eucalyptus trees in dense old growth forests.
Yeah.
Where eucalyptus native area is supposed to have large gaps and spaces between each other with little brush.
Mm-hmm.
So when a eucalyptus
it's one of the
does
reasons
its
why
usual, I'm gonna burn myself to the ground now, it tends to set in multiple hectares on fire.
Yes, and the reasons why eucalyptus forests do this is because, I don't know if you've noticed with the eucalyptus, bark, it sheds bark like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Eucalyptus trees shed their bark more than pretty much any other tree. Like, we've got multiple species of eucalyptus, including one that's called the stringy bark tree, which is what indigenous people used to make things like rope out of, which is really interesting. But, yes, if you want to know how bad it got, one of I think she's the former New South Wales governor. We call them premiers because they're the prime emir, but governor for you Americans. The former New South Wales governor lost her election because of an absolutely scathing online propaganda campaign by our lead journalist, Friendly Geordies. You would know about him, I'm assuming. She was nicknamed Koala Killer because of her cuts to firefighting services. That bit her in the arse during the bushfires. So Gladys Berejiklian was her name, and she was known as Gladys the Koala Killer from then on. So yeah, I don't like Gladys.
I was gonna say that's the thing. I doubt there's a map for it. I could probably honestly make a map on like invasive plant species across the U.S. and it would literally like more than 50% of the mass of like the service would be eucalyptus on the West Coast, and then like sort of central to East Coast is just kudzu.
Oh yeah, that's what happened to us. So when we were a colony, we wanted to graze sheep and cows. All right, which is why the Tasmanian tiger is extinct, and why the dingo is endangered. Mm-hmm. Because
why does this
we wanted to set up.
Because he's a famous history YouTuber.
Yes, hello.
He's just using his shitty mic.
No, am I using my shitty mic? I shouldn't be.
It sounds kind of boomy.
Oh, it is a boom mic. Hold on.
I don't know. I thought it was the shitty one.
No, the shitty one is this one. Stand by.
So is you breaking out the
This is the
Xbox Live
shitty
mic?
one.
Oh yeah, that is the shitty one.
This
You're right.
is the shitty one.
You're right. But yeah,
This one's
it's like with that stuff. I mean, kudzu. What? I wouldn't doubt kudzu was brought in for larger.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
Jesus.
So we have a. Hold on. Give me a second. I need to find how big it is.
I say the reason people though brought in kudzu was because it grows upwards of 6 inches a day. It's fucking bonkers, and it'll literally go up and over forest if it's dense growth enough. There's a creature on top of your head. Yeah, it's a koala.
Mm-hmm.
Koala name pack.
G'day. So we have a cattle ranch, as you Americans would say. We have a cattle ranch or
Do y'all have
ranch,
another name
as
for
I
it?
would call it. Yeah, it's a ranch, not a ranch.
Oh no,
it's
those
a
are the same
ranch.
thing. We use ranch.
We call
too.
them we call them the cattle. We call them cattle stations or sheep. There's an okay.
Cattle stations
Fun
are
bit of
usually
Australian-
an old term back whenever they would be like the only posts that you would be able to come across in long, vast land, if I remember correctly. Like, because sometimes
Okay.
in like I'd say like Wild West America at that point, sometimes you'd go several dozens of miles, and the nearest thing to you would be essentially a farm. And usually
There-
those became fairly wealthy over time to the point where they started making boarding houses for travelers. Large lodges,
Oh. How big is it?
cattle stations.
Okay, that's not all right.
It could also be places for people to sell their cattle, depending on if they had like an abattoir there or not.
Okay, so our largest cattle station or cattle ranch
Mhm.
is 23,677 square kilometers. It is bigger than the state of New Jersey and bigger than the state of Israel.
Jeez,
That is
I
our
was gonna look-
largest.
the only big one that I know. I was thinking of a big ranch, and I remembered King Ranch, but it's 825,000 acres, larger than Rhode Island. Huh. Largest U.S. ranch. Oh, King Ranch is the largest one. Huh.
Yeah, ours is bigger.
Damn, I can't believe
Now-
Australia has a bigger ranch than Texas.
Oh, mate, we have got a lot of space out here. You want to know something else? It also the size of our ranches led to the creation of an old Australian slang term, which is still used today.
Mhm.
Which is "calm down, mate. We're not playing for sheep stations," which is a slang term for when someone is taking a game
Way too
way
seriously.
too seriously.
Yeah.
You calm down. We're not playing for sheep stations.
That's when I was doing research down in South Texas. The location we did it was actually along the Laguna Madre, and the King Ranch has a border with the Laguna Madre, and its shorefront is so large that it became absolutely necessary to guarantee like location accuracy and stuff, that instead of referring that we were at the Laguna Madre, we had to refer to the King Ranch coastline, as it has its own defined like scientific ecosystem because of how big it is.
Yeah, that makes sense. That absolutely does make sense. Mind you, I was going to say, like, looking at your lovely setup here, wow. How are you enjoying the little red book?
I think it's fun. I mostly just look at food and stuff. These are the like, oh, and this channel.
Eee.
This is like one of the like few channels that I follow where he just does dives like almost every night. It's usually around like 9 p.m. it starts, and they'll do multi-hour streams. There's like this guy's diving and catching various seafoods, and they'll make shorts out of it later typically. And then he has like an intern who's like reading chat and talking to chat about stuff and like explaining the animals.
I'm not going to lie. When the TikTok ban was a thing, and we all started going on here for a while, I'm going to be real. watching the average American and the average Chinese interact was one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
It was both so funny, but it was so cute because like there was just this like eye-opening moment, and everybody was like, "Oh, this is so cool! Oh, I want to learn to make this."
Yeah, it was really interesting. Like finding like Chinese people doing the same things that Americans do on TikTok, like doing dance routines and shit like that, and filming funny animal videos and like telling jokes and shit, and everyone would be like, oh hey, this is kind of cool. They're kind of like, and the fact that everyone was friendly.
Yeah, like I really enjoyed it. There were some people that were trying, like, were a little malicious here and there. He's getting a skate. This is a skate under. Look at him. Got him.
Yoink.
He's
Oh,
just
he's
a little
a-
guy.
A little guy, a little C flap flap. Very small boy.
This is a really young one too. It's pretty small. It wouldn't be worth keeping.
Nope.
The
I don't
cuttlefish
know.
comes back. Yaw, he's wind. You get him.
I love cuttlefish. Cuttlefish are great, especially for birds, because you know when they die, they're like
I like how it just keeps coming back because it's like so curious. Hi, Fairbanks.
the carcass of a cuttlefish is really great for birds because they can chew.
You know what ghost shrimp are?
No, actually,
Here, ghost shrimp.
small boy.
They are okay, this one. So these guys you can actually find along the Gulf Coast. Like, they're about this big. That's a pretty good scale. The thing is, you can find their like little antennas and stuff sticking up out of the water when you look at the waves going back. And what I used to do as a kid, after somebody taught me how to catch them, is you could take them, hold them by the tail, and flip them up in the air, and the seagulls would come down to try and eat them out of your hand. And what we would do is we would slowly like lull the seagulls into like coming closer, and we just snatch the seagull out of the air. Because they wouldn't want to land or anything if you're holding your arm straight up. They would kind of just come in and like hover and try to scoop it out of your hands. But these were things that were like, these kind of shrimp were like long enough that you could hold them in your hand. And if you failed, the seagull wouldn't just bite the shit out of your hand. But that's what I did as a shit-eating teenager.
You see, I can't do that. Because here in Australia, you do not play with sea creatures that have bits sticking out of the sand.
Why not?
Don't. You've got Google up. Google something called the stonefish.
Oh, I know the stonefish. It's actually it's a large group of fish that are like this. We have a bunch of these in the Gulf Coast too.
So cool thing about this, about the Australian stonefish, is they'll do the same thing you were talking about. They'll bury themselves in the sand with nothing but their spines sticking out, and then use it to ambush prey.
Oh no,
However,
these are in the I'm trying to remember what it's called. Basically, just it's the area of where the waves come in, crash, and then pull back.
Yeah.
Where it's like less than an inch of water.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, things like the stonefish, the frogfish, scorpionfish, all of those. Oh, and lionfish, which are now a thing. Put lionfish.
A plague.
Oh, correct.
I watched the guy on TikTok doing lionfish extermination.
Yeah. The thing is, I actually had to do a research thing. No, it's not tide pools. Because fucking the US doesn't really have tide pools until you go up north.
That's right, Maren. You're a biologist, aren't you?
Yeah. I had to do a thing in the Corpus Christi Bay of Texas because there was reports that lionfish were showing up much closer to shore than expected. And I had to find a way to like kind of prove that. Unfortunately, though, I didn't have any equipment, the necessary equipment after a little while. And I like took reports and like tried talking to like a bunch of people on if they'd caught any or anything. And the thing is you don't catch lionfish with a fishing rod because they don't bite bait on a hook. You have to go spearfishing for them.
Okay, look, yes, don't go in the water in Australia, generally speaking, is a good move. You can.
I can't hear you, Annie. I'm too busy going to find your lost prime minister.
Yeah, you can. I mean, well, look, Harry's a good bloke. I'm sure he'll show up sometime. You want to know the greatest thing? If you want to know how to sum up Australia as a country, Harold
Fuck that,
Holt,
no.
our lost prime minister.
Oh boy.
You know what the largest monument to Harold Holt is?
It's a pool, isn't it? I mean, like
It's a
public
swimming
pool.
center, yes.
Yeah.
It's a public pool, yes. So to memorialize
piss.
Harold Holt, he died. He drowned at sea, and so Australia's memorial to him was to build a swimming pool.
Chat, we're not going to talk about the very obviously butchered tiger.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There we go. See, kitty, it's cute.
Now that's the thing. When you look at Australia now, we had. All right, we just got hit with a cyclone. Okay.
I was like, I noticed it. I was like, oh, we better. Oh, look, a dead
Have
tiger.
they
Oh,
Have they uploaded it to? No way.
uploaded what?
Sorry, I'm just checking something.
$5.10 in Asia. Oh no. Wait. He's 5'10". No way. This is just another one of this is another like Western influencer though. There's no way he's 5'10". This dude is definitely over 6 feet. He's 198 centimeters. I'm dumb.
Have they actually? Please tell me someone's dropped that. No one's.
Oh, okay, I was right. He's almost 6.5 feet tall. I was like, there's no way this dude's fucking 5'10".
No way. Like, I'm looking for something right quick. I know it's annoying, but
Okay, that's fine. Then I will keep showing chat food videos.
keep showing chat food video.
Maybe turn down the audio a little bit. This is the good pork rice chat. This is the good shit. 180, not 198. Huh? The Newcastle Big Boy? I've seen the Newcastle Big Boy. I know about the Newcastle. Wait. Newcastle Big Boy. I'm thinking of the Big Boy Burger. Hold on a second. Newcastle Big Boy. Oh. Oh, it's a tunnel spider. Oh, it's pretty. I like spiders.
I don't.
No, the comment said he was 198. I could have swore it did.
Alright. Time to open the other Chinese spy app. You ready?
Oh no, what have you done? Spooner!
Putting this in the side chat there.
Alright, let's see.
So we just got hit with a cyclone, and it was called Cyclone Alfred, and this happened.
Okay. What the fuck is that? This isn't the right video, is it? It didn't load the right one.
Okay, this is the right video, but what
No,
you're not...
TikTok does this thing. Oh, this is the right one.
Yep.
Okay, you did play the right one. Sometimes TikTok will open like a random trending one instead of the actual link that I clicked. I can't understand him.
Okay. So to translate for all of y'all, that is Western Sydney ethnic accent. And what this is one of Australia's drill rappers from Sydney,
Oh.
who is now, like, I think up in the Brisbane area, wrote a diss track against the cyclone that hit our coastline.
That's so stupid. What the fuck?
Also, the cyclone ripped up a local park.
Now, what is a drill rapper? Hi, Ember.
Oh, you don't know what a drill rapper is?
No.
Time to get you educated, Marin.
Thank you.
Time to take you into hip hop history,
I don't
boys.
like rap that much, so
Okay. Let's let her down slowly here.
oh no.
We're gonna put her on fire in the booth.
Oh shit. Please no. I bet
Now we're gonna put her in
cannot fucking what's the word? You cannot expose your therapy me into this. Just tell me what it is.
Drill rap is a very specific type of hip hop that originated in the UK. And it's sort of more like a machine gun style of flow as opposed to, you know, your more sort of melodic, sort of different shift up flows. Like that right there is Unknown P, and he is a comedy rapper.
Aggressive lyrics. Okay.
Yeah, and it's aggressive lyrics, and it's also really aggressive in terms of like flow and tone. So
I was gonna say it looks like it came from To Fight, basically.
yeah.
Huh.
Is it like an offshoot of trap? Not really. Like UK rap is actually probably better than American rap, and I know that sounds fucking horrific to say, given America is the origin of rap music. But I'm serious. UK
I
rappers
just don't
go
like rap
fucking
in general, mainly
hard.
because I can almost never understand it. Kicking screaming down the knowledge rabbit hole. I know too much about against my will. Too bad, Nintendo. You're gonna keep learning. Anyway, food.
Food.
Try to see if there's anything
But
else
yeah,
that jumps out at me. Trying to see if I can
that's
find
the
the
other
like
part.
crab row, like spaghetti thing that I was seeing a bunch of times.
I mean, okay, so grime was also another offshoot of British rap, and grime has some of my favorite rappers like JME and Lethal Bizzle.
Those
And then you got the
names.
earlier generation, which is of course Dizzy Rascal. Some people think I'm bonkers. I just say I'm free. Man, I'm just living my life. There's nothing crazy about me. Come on now.
I like that you're
That's a
putting the
classic.
accent on it.
Some people pay for thrills. I get mine for free. Yeah, man, I'm just living my life. Oh, Lady Sovereign, yes. If you love what I say, then thank you. And if you don't, then fuck you. Oh, God, Lady Sovereign. Now there's a throwback. Australia had its... Wow, okay.
I'm sorry. I really want food. Oh god,
You
the
see,
music
I'm
louder than the captions.
You see, I'm a bit weird because this region of cuisine doesn't do it for me.
I fucking love eel, though. This looks like eel.
Oh, okay. So
fucking good. Oh yeah, this probably isn't. This is probably freshwater eel as opposed to saltwater.
So, Chinese and Japanese and Korean cuisine is very interesting to me because I don't know why it's never like besides your real dry stir fried and your roasted meats, I never really jived with it, and I don't know why. Now, Indian cuisine, on the other hand, there's a different discussion entirely. Indian is the king of cuisine, and I will die on that hill.
Wait a fucking second. What is this? Oh no, is he about to take the piss with one of the most obnoxious looking tablets I've ever seen?
Man's on the stage, did he go on bonkers?
No, I think this is a tech review. I honestly wanted to see it because it looks like he's going to play it like an accordion. But I don't want to go through the 2.5 minute video to do it. Also, yes, chat, you are seeing muscular women, like Fairbanks pointed out, because that's what happens whenever you, say you like the fitness section. Weirdly enough, when you select like stuff, when you make an account on this game, there's 2 fitness sections. And the only way you can tell the difference is based on the picture. One is diet. The other one is people. Recognize the Frieren cosplayer. Oh. Oh. I do not know why there's so many turtle videos, though.
You can eat turtle.
True, but none of these look like eating videos. Also, we're going to talk about pork shoulder. I didn't know this, but pork shoulder is cheaper than pork belly. The fucking music, dude. The music is always so funny to me. I'm sorry, Annie, I'm sorry, but this app gave me a fucking heinous addiction to braised pork. It just looks so good, dude.
You ever watch the anime Food Wars?
Yes, I have.
Goated.
Yeah, it's a good anime. It's well animated.
It is the single best battle shonen ever made, and I'll die. Yo, propaganda for my boy! Shout out for my boy in the bottom left corner. Let's go! The goat! The goat!
Luigi sex tapes.
The goat. The goat. He didn't do it, but if he did, the goat.
The goat, specifically the scapegoat. Oh, here it is. This is one that keeps fucking coming across here. It's apparently crab roe, like spaghetti, basically.
You know what? That could fuck, actually.
But, like, they use this at the beginning on so many videos, which is why I see it so often. And it bothers me so much, because usually the video isn't actually about this dish. But it looks so fucking good, dude. The
that could
propaganda
probably
was pork
fuck,
all along?
actually.
Correct. They're trying to turn you against Allah. I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry.
No, it's... So what you're saying is, we gotta kill pigs. I mean, what?
Oh, okay. So baby queen Polly here, she freaks me out. She's this black girl up here on the left. And I only watched one video that I like, she just pushed me in the wrong direction because she was doing this thing. I think she's like a college student or something, or maybe pretending to be pretending to be a college student. And she like goes up to a random stranger and starts asking like how to get to the mess hall and stuff, and saying that she was like a student there. And if she was a student, she would know where the fucking mess hall is and everything. But she has this weird doll look to her, this over doctored appearance. I don't think there's anything real about it. I think it's just the video being like overly edited, but it still freaks me out. Actual pigs or those pigs? Actual pigs.
Actual pigs, yeah. Like,
there's not nearly enough fat on the other pigs. Can't make bacon.
Yeah, look.
Oh, true. What were you saying?
I was just gonna say to Emot in chat, he should come review pork shoulder with us.
We'll find a lot of fucking like pork shit in here. If Emot wants to join, he's welcome to.
That's what I'm saying. He should come give us his take on pork shoulder, because I reckon Emot's got a pretty based take on braised pork and braised pork accessories.
Braised pork accessories. I think those are just marinated eggs.
Is that Chinese? Is that Chinese deep dish Chicago? Yo, what? Since when?
Oh, that looks like. Oh, it's baked spaghetti. Oh, fuck yeah, dude. Hey, man.
Oh, now that's the shit right there. That's the shit right there.
I tell you what. I know what I know about pork and pork-based accessories.
Yo, okay, now this cuisine right here, this Chinese Italian fusion. Now that is something. This is something I can get behind.
Tiramisu. Oh my god. I was gonna say that I think the thing that I don't hate it, but it makes me so jealous, is the most American foods look better in China and Japan.
Okay, for real though.
Like they make like so this is like let me get this baked spaghetti. Oh, I can't pause it. This baked spaghetti drives me insane because it's just superior spaghetti in like almost every way. Also, I don't know if y'all been able to hear it, but Coco's been over here huffing next to me to try and get my attention. Yes, Stinky. Yes.
How you doing, Emot?
I exist.
It's just Tuesday.
In defiance of God and everything, yes.
In defiance of God, man, yeah. Yeah, the reason I jumped on there and stream here is because I was like, so I am on page 10 of a script. So I released a video recently.
Yes.
And it didn't do too well. It didn't do too well. And I'm like, well, shit, I should probably put something out. And then I'm like, well, I haven't talked about Ukraine in a while, so let's do that. And so I've done a 10-page analysis of like the military situation and everything, and talked about losses, statistics, sustainment, challenges going forward, all that sort of stuff, right? All that good shit. And then I've reached page 10, and I'm like, okay, with all that out of the way, let's talk about what you're really here for. Chapter 2, the war in Ukraine, politics and peace talks.
Okay.
And after writing the first paragraph, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to hang out with Marin and then take a nap, because quite frankly, let me tell you, the opening paragraph says...
This is like, oh, Jesus Christ.
The opening paragraph is literally, alright, I'm gonna be real. You know how I said this was going to be an unbiased video? I was talking about the military situation, and in case you didn't pick up on literally anything I've said in the past hour, TLDR, Russia will win if they're willing to pay the price for it unless the West gets involved directly, which, spoiler alert, has been the analysis offered by basically everyone since this war started, including me.
Yeah. Literally everybody.
Give me just a
Followed
second. I'm
by...
going to let Coco outside because she is losing her shit.
In which case, this is our chance he might hijack the stream.
All right.
Which I then follow immediately by, but in the political sphere of this video, I can't stay unbiased because I am, and I quote, at least according to Twitter, a commie, leftist, liberal, warmonger, anarchist cuck paid by George Soros to transgender mice. Which is obviously false.
There's so many things to unpack in that one sentence.
Okay.
Which is obviously false because I am currently and will continue to dead name Elon's platform. So evidently I'm flexible on the last part.
Jesus Christ.
So it's just like
Marin.
I forgot this was on here.
Are you happy?
It's been so long since we've had to do this. How do you want this ordained? Do you want Goblin or do you want like actual attempt?
You want Goblin.
I always give them the option because I think it's funnier if they want the Goblin option.
Yeah, do you want Goblin?
Oh my. Oh my.
Oh my. Goblin, yes.
Oh boy, no, seriously though, that's why I came on this stream, guys, because I was like, hey,
Pictures.
I could talk, I need to write and keep writing about this, but then it's just, I felt like it was gonna, like, I swear to God, like, this video, I have a feeling this part is gonna be therapy, and I'm going to have to tone myself down, because I know if I use the words I actually want to use, it's gonna get age restricted.
Oh, absolutely.
But
I mean, if you don't already mark it as not for kids.
Yeah. No, there's a difference between being able to be seen on YouTube and being age restricted on YouTube.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah, you see,
Yes.
I want to say things about, like, there will be a reckoning. There will probably be an entire page dedicated to Animarchy versus JD Vance, and it's gonna be...
Please use every single JD Vance edit that you possibly can.
Oh, that's true. That's what's going to be playing. When I talk about this section,
fan cam. Can somebody make the opposite of a JD Vance fan cam? Check out my uncensored version on Nebula. Oh my god,
dude! I wish Nebula would let me
burn and Hoog like right now. That like I keep seeing fucking Nebula all the time.
Dude, if I could get on a service like Nebula or the right wing version, which is Pepperbox, I would.
Why is it Pepperbox?
I don't know, but it would be because it would literally just be okay. So all the shit that Animarchy wants to talk, that basically Animarchy on Twitter, just on recording instead.
Ah.
So it's just like, like, you know how
Pistol, okay.
The Philip DeFranco show thing.
Yeah, because apparently a revolver is too left-wing and too modern. Too progressive.
Legal Eagle, Tears, Zoo, and extra credits so I get those ads a lot. Animarchy Out Loud. That's a good name.
Animarchy Out Loud is a great sub-series.
Pizza.
Holy shit, look, chat.
Looking pizza.
Oh my god, it's Faye. It's my favorite. Hello, Faye.
Pizza in the gay chat.
Those are really dark pepperonis, but yeah, that looks like a good pizza. Damn, that's good to know.
Damn.
Oh yes, the front page of Pepperbox is quite the... okay, hold on. Time to break an algorithm.
What's up, Faye?
Oh, why does this look like Netflix?
It
because
does,
they're
yeah.
Clearly aping Netflix.
And
The
look at who
gang.
you've got on here.
I
You
see.
have all like that's the thing. I'm friends with one of the people here, or at least friendly acquaintances with one of the people here,
Yeah.
and yet I don't think I'd get on with any of the
I think
other-
I've heard of Brandon Herrera before.
Oh, the AK
That's
guy.
the
He's
AK
the
guy.
he's the guy who wanted to run for Congress so he could abolish the ATF. Which honestly, based, it's just that the fact that he's also a MAGA isolationist as well that bothers me. If he was
Christ.
If he was on the libertarian ticket and literally said like I don't give a fuck about anything, I just want to abolish the ATF because they stopped me from buying the guns I want, I'd be like, based. That's it. Absolutely, 100%. I'm with you.
All right, guys,
Alcohol,
take a
tobacco,
drink
and
anytime
firearms
you
should be a
spot an
store.
AI-generated thumbnail.
Oh, there's Demo
There's
Ranch.
one right here
who's
for Donut Operator.
Yeah.
Fat Electrician, who has really great videos on YouTube and really shit Twitter posts.
Gun
then
meme
again, you could-
review, ATF. That's the fucking head of from the I can't read meme.
Yes, it is. Look, I'm a be
Class
honest.
warfare.
No.
No. No.
Tiny guns.
These people would not be in favor of class warfare.
Air show?
I don't even think they know what it
What did they
means.
do to air show?
No,
All
that's
right,
HLC.
Look at this.
Yeah,
That's HLC, aka a friend of mine. Yeah, he makes the airplane videos.
yeah, he makes
Not
the
a
fu-
drop
he
of
makes the funny
melanin to be
superimpo-
seen. Oh no.
He makes
Oh,
he makes the funny superimposed face over plane memes. Yes.
It's okay, Faith. There's
HLC.
nothing that pizza can't fix.
HLC was really cool because he cameoed in my Soviet Aviation Part 1. He cameoed in it for me. It was great. There's also an interview with him about Patriot on my channel as well.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh yeah. No, the Patriot missile system.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like
That's 'cause-
actually I watched that one. Yeah, it was actually pretty good.
He teaches the army how to shoot missiles at other missiles. That's his job, or at least he's getting out now, I think. But yeah, like that's the thing. Like if Brandon Herrera literally said, "Oh look, I don't give a fuck about MAGA or anything. I'm just running so I can abolish the ATF," I'd be like, "Yes." But the moment he got into it, he went down the red hat pipeline,
Oh,
basically.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the thing of like, oh, I want to get into politics. Oh shit, I have to pick one of these two parties.
Yeah, and he double tripled down on the Red Hat Brigade, which yeah.
Especially when it depends on your state. That's like, if you're in like Alabama or something, it's like, oh shit, I got to be a piece of shit to win this one.
Yeah.
No,
you're
it's
also living
okay.
in Alabama.
Can you imagine being the Republican candidate running against Marjorie Taylor Greene? How batshit do you have to be to do that? I still can't believe she got reelected this last cycle.
Who did he run against? Yeah, he ran in Texas District 23, wasn't it?
Really?
Yeah, San Antonio. I'm pretty sure. No, is that San Antonio? No. He
It's the
did a
West-
runoff
it's-
election against.
It's the entire fucking western chunk because of population numbers.
It's a district, guys. We swear.
It's a district, but it's because like some of these counties out here, like between let me see, where is it? Between Odessa and fucking El Paso over here, there's like counties in here actually have single digit populations.
Mm-hmm.
Like El Paso, I think is its own district over here, is what it looks like.
If a private citizen can outfit an entire military platoon, that's too much. I disagree. I need it for my friends. I need it for my homies.
Look at this. Look at this shit. The border fucking ends with this lake.
Bro, the gerrymandering of US electorates fucking blows my mind. Okay, like in Australia, you can't do this. This is illegal.
I think
Like,
I think the
very.
lake is actually Mexican land. Yeah, there's the Rio Grande. That's the Rio Grande line.
I wouldn't worry about it
But
too much, Lunara.
They probably have like the water rights or something to this area.
Look, Lunara, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Your president is a 32 times convicted felon who is admittedly guilty of that exact crime. Yeah, so
Oh, I
you
didn't remember
know,
that.
like there could be problems. You've got bigger issues. I wouldn't worry about that so much.
All right, we brought in the pork shoulder specialist. Iman, are you ready for your pork shoulder analysis?
Give me the meat. I need the meat right now.
A long, thick, strong piece of meat.
You immediately cuts away from the meat. Damn it.
I empathize with it.
Crab.
Oh god, the crab pot's terrifying.
It's
Okay.
fine.
Okay, look, can I just say, people sleep on duck stir fry.
I fucking
hell,
love
it's
ducks.
great.
I love pad
Duck's
thai with crispy
great.
duck. There used to be a
Duck
Thai place
is-
down the road from when I lived up in New England, and it was so good.
I'm telling you, everyone's like, duck hunting season's the way to go, my man, because, bruh, I wish we had a more active scene. Because, the best hunting you can get in Australia is deer in Victoria and kangaroo.
Oh.
Makes sense.
Oh, here we
Who
go.
fucks
Here's
sleeps
the
on
verdict
duck?
on pork belly.
People just don't like duck sometimes.
It's true. It's like it's a very dark meat, and usually
Yeah,
when it's
it's
cooked
primarily
to make
dark
it
meat.
good, it requires a lot of time, prep, and like infusion of whatever flavors.
Mm-hmm.
I am a firm believer in the Ron Swanson food pyramid of greatness, because you've got the pyramid of greatness, but then you have the food pyramid of grace. Was it the Heartstopper or something he orders at the county fair,
Yes.
which is a turkey
Yes.
leg wrapped in bacon?
Oh,
Yeah.
That is the way. Look, turkey legs are the way to go for the same reason I like duck, which is dark poultry is the shit. Because, like,
good.
you need to have poultry with a little bit of gaminess, because then it sings. Because the problem with chicken, right? The problem with chicken is I love chicken, and I'm a chicken over beef guy, right? But
This is a brave man. She can't attack
But-
me while she has a cub in her mouth.
yes, she can.
Yeah, absolutely can't.
But like, I've got to say that chicken is a rather sad meat most of the time. The reason why it works, the only reason why chicken works as a thing, is because it's so useless. You can do anything to it and infuse it with any kind of flavor.
Chicken's the tofu of poultry.
Yes.
Yeah, right. When with duck and turkey, you've got that gamey hit as well as everything else.
Here's
Yeah.
some more pork for you, Iman.
Uh,
Now pork.
I love pork.
We're just lucky we
Pork
live in the
is
modern age
so
when
good.
pork is no longer potentially a death sentence.
Yes.
Okay, so Marin,
Yes.
as a professional woman, as they say,
Professional woman.
No, I'm more like
As I said-
semi-practicing, or maybe no longer practicing.
semi-practicing woman. What's your take? What's your take? What is the best meat? What is the best
Oh.
meat out there?
Hmm.
Now, I've heard from my southern friends, because I live in Australia, we don't have them here. I have heard from my southern friends that catfish is the fucking goat.
Okay, catfish is really good. It's just that it's also one of those types of fish that you could make it in so many different ways, and it takes on the flavor of whatever you make it with. So like
Same with
smothered
chicken.
catfish is a thing, and usually it's like fried. Fried catfish is like the best way to have it. If you're in the South, though, people don't consider fish meat.
Yeah, fish isn't really considered meat typically.
Oh,
It
okay.
is meat to everybody else in the world, but if you're from like the
Yes.
southern U.S., to them, if you say fish is meat, they're like, you're high as balls. It's fish.
We're on a
Okay,
road.
gator and crocodile fucking slap.
Gator's
Gator and
awesome.
crocodile
I actually
slab.
found out a
Gator's
couple
good.
weeks ago that my grocery store sells chunked gator tail in the freezer section.
Yeah,
What you guys need to do is get a specialty meat store to get it for you. Kangaroo tail. I'm telling you, boys. Boys and
Really?
girls, I'm telling you. Kangaroo tail is... let me see if I can find you a video of cooking kangaroo tail. Hold on.
That'd be cool. I'd like to see it. I don't know if gator though is the best meat. I'm thinking in terms of versatility as a whole, globally, chicken. Like chicken is probably like the best meat in terms of like variety that you can make with it.
Yeah, just because it's so versatile. Plain and simple.
Oh, we got the ad break. Darn it. That's okay. I can scroll a little bit while we're doing that. Let me go ahead and give chat their words on stream.
I'd get off the tentacle hentai if I were you.
Huh? Oh.
Fucking got him.
I was gonna say, that's the thing too on here is you're not allowed to do like overly sexual things like outside of context because like their moderation is really good. So like the closest thing you get to like sexy posting that you would find on TikTok is like pretty women in pretty outfits standing in front of things.
Mm-hmm.
Or occasionally I have come across videos of what is essentially women at a swimming pool in one-piece swimsuits going to dive into the pool. But those videos are usually, it's definitely focused on the women's butts. But I have found that most of the time when I translate the definitions, they're actually trying to like sell the swimsuits.
Well, yeah, it still all comes down to sex sells. Let's be fair here. Even if it's selling the swimsuit, Marin.
All right, so okay, I'm trying to find a good one because there's two ways you can cook them. You can do, because it's a very gamey meat. We like casseroling and stewing.
Okay, that makes sense.
Kangaroo.
That tracks.
It's the same thing with a lot
However-
of like less favorited like beef.
So the thing, however, the traditional indigenous way is to
Hey,
do
Annie,
it Cajun style, which is
Ooh.
I know
which
I
is-
can probably guess the reason that y'all do it Cajun style, but I'll wait for a second.
I've heard that people in Louisiana do this. Is the cook pits where you like dig a hole
Yes.
and cook it underground. Yeah, so cooking it the traditional indigenous way is you basically cut the whole tail off and then do the entire thing as one long piece of meat on the bone in a smoke pit underground. So you cover it in burning coals and then cover it over with dirt and leaves and then let it sit for a bit. Kind of like cooking in palm leaves, similar concept.
Yes.
Hold on. Let's see if I can find a good video of kangaroo
the reason I was going to
steak.
say is the reason a lot of like places like in your case with kangaroo, how you said it was like gamey and stringy. It's the same thing with a lot of other meats like bear and stuff. Extremely gamey meats are extremely hard to make. So one of the easiest and most straightforward ways to prepare those kinds of meats is with Cajun seasonings because they're strong and they use long, slow cooking styles. And usually like the common, what do they call it? The Cajun Trinity is very good at cutting through the like gaminess of meats. Survey says no. Also, do you see this video here, Emont?
I am looking.
The one on the left. I'm not going to
Yes.
play it, but that's fucked up.
Yeah, a little bit.
And I know it's also not the only time that's happened. More pork! Okay, hold on. Okay, what were you doing, Annie?
Looking for a good one. All right, here we go. This will work.
Welcome back from the
where
ad break.
are I?
Thank you for the head pats, too.
So where are we?
Bitter-based marinades also help with gaminess. Honey-based marinades also work.
So cooking kangaroo steaks. So if you go kangaroo tail, that's just like it's basically stews. It's all stews if you do kangaroo tail. Which, unless you do the traditional indigenous way where you cut the whole thing. But what we can do is good. All right, here you go. There you go. Kangaroo.
Let me see. Oh, good lord. The most Aussie steak? Oh, no.
The most Aussie steak.
Not that many videos out there that do it justice. So I'm going to show you a really easy one. We're going to serve it up with some chips and a little mushroom sauce with an Aussie twist.
Hell yeah,
Stick
you can't go
around,
wrong with the
I'm gonna
mushroom
throw
sauce,
another
my
little
guy.
cheeky recipe that I don't think many people
Always,
have tried
bro.
before.
Mushroom and
Kangaroo
cream.
tartar.
Alright, we are going to make our own homemade chips.
Yeah.
because homemade chips just taste better. They are a bit of a faff around, so if you can't be bothered, just buy some. And if you buy some, skip to the next chapter and we'll get into the steak. But quickly, how to make chips at home. So first up, you're going to cut your potatoes. Now I like to leave them skin on, and I like them kind of chunky. So
Damn right, you leave them skin on.
2 centimeter square strips. Then into a new clean pot. Fill that with cold water.
Skin on chips with beer batter on the soft bits.
Oh,
yeah. I'm telling you.
Good shit right there.
I'm telling you.
140 degree oil, chips go in for 6 to 7 minutes or until they just start to firm up on the outside, and then you're going to pull them out and back onto the wire rack to cool down again. All right, so our chips are waiting on the side for us.
Ooh, okay, kangaroo is really dark.
Minute, but we'll start prepping our meat. So this is our
Hi,
kangaroo
Kono.
loin here. This is how it's come from the butcher. It's pretty much ready to go. There is, from this part here,
Is there already
you can see
seasoning
there's a
on
piece
that
of silver
platter?
skin
Yes.
that's running
That?
right through the center of it. In a restaurant,
Yes,
you
there
probably
is.
try and take that out. I'm not going to bother because I think to try and fillet that out, you're going to end up with a really thin piece of meat. Now,
Yeah,
kangaroo
just leave
is
it.
incredibly lean, so you can't overcook this. You've got to serve it rare, medium rare kind of max. So all we're going to do is simply season it with some salt and a little bit of wattle seed, which is an Australian native spice. Kind of tastes a bit like coffee.
Wait, what did he say the spice was?
You can't get wattle seed.
Wattle seed.
Or a bit
Wattle
of,
seed,
basic
yes.
kind of rub. But we're just going to season these really simply and
What does
get it on
that
a
taste
really
like?
hot grill. Cook it rare,
You just
slice
said.
it up and get ready to go. But which is an Australian native spice. Kind of tastes a bit like coffee, a little bit chocolatey.
Oh, coffee,
If you're
okay.
not Australian, you can't get wattle seed. Just use salt and pepper or a bit of, a
Okay, I'm
basic
sorry.
kind of rub. But we're just going to
I even
season
had
it really
captions on it. My
simply
brain
and get
still
it on
didn't
a
register
really
what he
hot
said.
Grill, cook it rare, slice it up and get ready to go. But before we do that, I'm actually going to try something that I had in a restaurant in Melbourne years ago that was super delicious.
Don't do it.
Let's
Don't do the
get another
tartare.
board out. So I'm actually going to make a little kangaroo tartare. Now,
Tartare.
raw. I think this meat works really well because it's so lean. And then I'm going to convince my cameraman Mitch to try some.
The way he showed the preview earlier
So
was...
what we're going to do is dice.
Here, do we want to watch this whole
kangaroo
video, or do we
really
want to skip
fine.
and like see
And
what
go
it
and
looks
mix
like
it.
the
You
finished
wanna
products
dice it.
look like?
I mean, if you want to skip to finished products, will look pretty good. You want to see this? You want to see the steak cook though?
Then we'll just cut up some
Mushroom sauce,
sauce.
tartare,
almost
steaks.
additional- like that. Just a light coating on the
I'm glad
outside.
that they use
My grill
chapters.
outside
Not
on
enough people
maximum
use
temperature and it
chapters.
takes for like
More
half an hour.
people
We're gonna
need to
season
use
this with salt.
chapters,
This has
it's
got the
true.
pepper berry in it, an Australian native pepper, and some lemon myrtle, but just plain salt will also work fine.
Lemon myrtle.
Both sides.
Yeah, lemon myrtle salt. It's common
And
thinking.
then the wattle seed. Now, if you can get your hands on this, I really recommend it. It works really well with kangaroo. If you can't, like I was saying,
I don't think
find
you
Yeah,
can
another
use that
fucking-
season.
Enjoy. Let's
Slaps.
go grill some roo. All right.
I wouldn't doubt if my grocery store has it, just because my grocery store has absolutely fucking walls of like seasonings and spices.
So we're only going to cook these for like 2 or 3 minutes on each side. We just want to get good color.
Hello,
Like I
naked
was
lawyer
saying,
guy.
still
Yeah,
want
and
it
he's
nice
not wearing
rare in
pants
the middle.
again.
If we overcook these, they will be dry. And
Kangaroo
not great.
steak is the shit, guys. I'm telling you.
I don't know. I've always thought steaks were
All right, I'm gonna
overrated.
pull these at like 45 degrees in the center.
I feel like there's
pretty
better
low,
ways
but
to
I
make
really don't
to
wanna
use the
overcook
kangaroo
these, and I wanna
in
rest
more
them for
delicious
quite a
ways
while.
than just steak and
And
chips.
for my American friends, that's 45 degrees Celsius. I only really talk in Celsius. I'm sorry, that's the only language I know.
It's okay. Never give up on that.
Pretty
Keep it.
fucking good.
When are we grilling Emot? I don't think Emot steaks are going to be that good. Regular steaks already aren't that good, and I don't think Emot's going to be better. We'll braise
Well,
Emot
you're also-
instead.
So the final
You're
cook
also
of our chips is
biased
we're
because
looking
steaks
for
are actually really good,
180
so shut
degree
up.
Celsius.
They can be good. I just think they're one of the
Right
worst
now,
ways
it's
to make
probably staying on
meats. They're very
180, it's actually
boring.
over, but that's okay. We're going to put the chips in, and then we're going to turn it up again. So chips ready
Yeah,
to
just
go
because
in,
something's
temperature
simple
up,
doesn't
high.
mean it's not good.
We're off to the races.
Oh, that's true. I'm just saying. I think it's closer to the
that's-
bottom
that's-
rung of food. I
that's
think
the
food's good in
equivalency,
general.
mate.
Food is already good.
That's-
Come out,
Well, that's the equivalency that you're drawing right there, then.
season with salt immediately.
Ooh.
I just think it's very overrated
Time to finish
and a
our
very
sauce.
boring method of cooking food.
Now it doesn't look like there's much sauce.
Like something
in
can
there,
be overrated,
what
but it
that
can
is
still
really
be quite
concentrated
well
food.
regarded,
do-
regardless.
let
Oh,
that
I know
down and put
people
it
well
cream.
regarded.
This is
I just
optional,
don't like
if you wanna
that.
put the
There
cream
it
in, then
is.
just leave it out.
There it is.
Oh no,
Cream,
no,
pep-
Sauce.
Yeah.
cream, peppercorns, mushies, and the steak juice. There you go.
Ah, it's so
Always
good.
check the salt. Oh, surprise myself.
Emot like pineapple will simply
Just gonna
eat you
ship and add
back.
some
It's
parsley
true.
And finish our sauce with it.
Why do you
You
think
think you do
don't
it
put
after it's
pineapple
just
on
a
pizza?
bonus?
Alright, time
That's
to
true.
plate.
This guy's actually putting in a lot more effort than most like
If you've rested
steakhouses
it
and
for
stuff.
ages and it's a little bit cold, just flash it.
There you
on the
go.
grill if you need to.
I am of the opinion I think Marin has gone easily to the worst steakhouses
Beautiful chips.
possible, apparently.
Yeah, I know, right? Like,
Salad. And we'll finish it
No,
with our
I've been to
sauce.
some fancy ones. I've been to like even a Brazilian steakhouse that was supposed to be one of the best in the
I don't
in fucking Fort Worth.
understand.
There you have it. What I think
And
is
it's,
I don't understand how
I
you
just
can-
think in general they're
classic steak,
overrated.
chicken salad, but with a
girl,
kangaroo
you're a
and
Texan.
seasoned
How do you
pork,
say
it's
steak
delicious.
is mid if you're a
And it's actually
Texan?
I think
Come on
brisket's
now.
also overrated.
Oh, now we're gonna have to fight.
Can we just revoke your right to
You should
I've had
surrender
good
your
brisket.
citizenship
I've
as a
been
ref-
to- I've had like family friends that I've gone to stay with and helped them do state level like fucking barbecue competitions, and it's good. It's still just plain.
Peace.
As I said, Dad and I have pioneered a new way to cook kangaroo, and that is kangaroo vindaloo. I'm telling you.
That actually sounds pretty good, honestly.
Texas card revoked. Well, you can suck my fucking ass. I'm okay with that.
Look, in Indian cuisine with kangaroo works because of its gaminess. You just slow cook that bitch in a curry for like the whole
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's usually
Yeah.
the case
Boom.
with most like gamey meats
That
and
sounds
stuff.
great.
Is stewing it, putting it in curry. It's
You
also
know
why
what?
Cajun,
I reckon-
Cajun is such a good way to make gamey meats.
Vindaloo.
Vindaloo.
is great.
I should
Huh?
I should pitch that. I should pitch that to one of the Indian restaurants near here. I could say that. Try making vindaloo with kangaroo. Vindaloo. Call it vindaloo and make vindaloo with kangaroo.
Yeah.
And watches every
fucking
Aussie in the comments.
immediately
Boo!
Immediately get put on the tourist hotspot places for that. Like fuck yeah.
What kind of meat does kangaroo most resemble?
It's very lean.
I would
So-
guess boar.
Not even that.
Buffalo?
I would say probably your closest analog would be male venison. So
Yeah, it says Jolly saying venison
okay.
in the chat also, so I'm reasonably certain that's a good assessment.
That makes sense.
So like, and when I say that, I mean like the 3-year-old stag, who's been running through the Alaskan mountains all his life, so he has never had
I mean, that
time
makes
to
sense.
build any fat
Kangaroos are
reserves,
basically
right?
just standing deer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Kangaroo. The thing with kangaroo, the reason why their meat's so lean is because they are jacked. They are stanced up. There is not a single ounce of fat on them.
This dude's ripped. The bitch is cut.
Yeah, look. You see, now when I started talking about kangaroo tail, you see that tail, right? That tail is like a hydraulic spring.
It's all muscle.
Yeah, it's like a hydraulic spring. So their legs are kind of like I'm pretty sure the design for double amputees for their legs
They're just
is
deer that
based
went to
on
prison.
kangaroos.
Damn, I can't
Yeah.
believe they even got tied into the Australia lore.
Yeah, so it's
They got
like
a rap sheet at birth.
basically when you see like double amputee runners, their legs work on the same principle as a kangaroo's legs do, and they use the tail to balance themselves, right? And the tail also acts as a hydraulic spring, because what it does is when a kangaroo gets into a proper hardcore knuckle down fight, the kangaroo can literally do that comedy Godzilla move and bounce back on its tail and use both its legs to kick and push the kick forward using their tail as a spring.
Wait, what
which is
say?
why-
The last that affected me, long live eternal President Stubbs in Gatto. What? Are you talking about Stubbs, the president, not the president, the mayor cat of fucking the Alaska town? Wait, what? Affected you?
I mean, this is the thing. This is the thing.
What's the thing?
Kangaroos can kill you,
Yeah, so can deer.
It's true.
okay? But kangaroos, they will murder you. The only thing more dangerous than a kangaroo here in Australia, besides our venomous animals, obviously, is the cassowary. And you know what the cassowary
yeah.
is. The last living descendant of the velociraptor.
Say the current living dinosaur?
Yes. And they are angry little bastards.
That is a dinosaur.
That is just a dinosaur. Yes.
They,
the shivbird.
they,
Also, baby.
the shivbird, yes, they are.
I always think it's so funny that so many species of baby birds end up with the exact same pattern. The dark and light brown stripes. Like turkeys have that, emus have that, cassowaries have that.
You see, the funny thing about the emu is the emu isn't anywhere near as aggressive as the cassowary.
Yeah.
Which is funny, because the emu is, exactly the same sort
I think
of
the
genus.
ostrich also does.
Well, the ostrich can and does kill people.
No, I was gonna say they have like the fuzzy version, the kind of static version of it.
Ostriches are big. People don't realize how big the ostrich is.
I love the babies. The little flocks of babies are always so cute watching them run around. I don't know why. Baby ostriches always just look like jokes. They look like pranks. The murder turkey? Oh my god.
See, the thing about emus aren't dangerous. Well, they are, but they aren't. They're like... You see, the cassowary has the velociraptor claw, right?
Yes.
The emus don't have that. The emus have shorter claws, but they do scratch. But 9 times out of 10, they like run away or they're just bemused.
Also, animals TLDR can kill you, will kill you, and 99% are venomous. Looks at the male platypus. Huh.
Platypuses are lethal killers. Yeah. Well,
those little venom
actually,
spikes that they got.
If so dangerous, why so cute and precious?
Because
okay, actually, you want to know the funny thing about the platypus? It uses a similar type of venom to one of our trees that we have here. And
really,
yeah, and the reason does it actually kill you? No. However, it is so painful, and that pain is chronic. It induces self-termination. Because
Wait, don't you also have a fish that does that? Or no, it's a jellyfish.
The jellyfish, the Irukandji jellyfish.
Yes.
You see, that's the thing. Our snakes and our bigger spiders have the decency to just kill you.
Nah, this one's trying to force you to do it yourself.
I mean, we also have fish that try to kill us a lot.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, that's just
But
the
in a more
ocean,
direct-
though.
I want to say in a more direct way, more often.
Yeah,
than
look, fun fact. Fun fucking fact. The peninsula to the west of my city, there's a big peninsula alongside so basically where I live, I'm on the beach. But we have some of the best beaches in the world because on the other side of our gulf, we have a peninsula running down that sort of acts like a shield and sort of like a warm water cycle thing. Let me see if I can get it up on the map for you. Where are we?
No, Stonefish, definitely, Jolly.
Yeah. So if I look
looking like a goofball standing on the beach wearing my swim shoes. I ain't taking no risks.
So I live in the city of Adelaide.
Yes.
Right here. Very pretty city. Way better than Melbourne. Remy, eat a dick.
Somebody clip that.
So it's an old joke because of shit that went down in COVID. Melbourne, Remy shits on Adelaide because Adelaide stayed open and Melbourne was locked down for a year straight, and so Adelaide wins again was a meme among his community, and I agree.
Wait, does that
Adelaide always wins?
Emu? Okay. I was gonna say I thought that said Emu Farm for a second. I was like, what?
Emu Bay Farm.
Yeah.
Now.
But as you can see, there's this Gulf, the Spencer Gulf, I believe it's the Gulf St. Vincent or the Spencer Gulf, one of the two. And you've got Kangaroo Island down the southwest. I wonder how it got that name.
It's
truly a mystery.
I do like the American River, though.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Cork.
70% of the place burnt down.
God.
70% of Kangaroo Island burnt down during the bushfires 5 years ago.
God.
Yeah, one of my mates was a volunteer firefighter out on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing the footage from that. And also the rescue workers just fucking reaming the Prime Minister at the time also.
Good.
Are you from the media? You can tell the Prime Minister to get fucked from Nelligan.
It was so good. Holy shit.
I was gonna say that's what I need to see more of on like news things where they're like interviewing like if there's a wildfire thing or something, I need fucking like the rescue workers and shit just to start taking the piss with local politicians.
Or
better yet, the business leaders that led to it, like that fucking millionaire family who during the fucking wildfires was still watering their fucking golf courses. Yes, plural.
Dude, as I said earlier on in the stream, we pointed out that one Australian's reaction to a cyclone was to write a diss track against it. Right.
Listen, you take out your feelings the way you can, the way you best able to.
Also, fun fact that as I was saying, when that cyclone started rocking up, you know that meme from that news reporter from California during that hurricane? Same thing happened here when the cyclone started rolling up. Half of Brisbane went down the Gold Coast and started surfing.
God.
Sounds like Brisbane.
And when it ripped up, and when the cyclone's high winds ripped up like the local park, and the like rain sodden the ground, we thought, well, this is fucked. The park is flooded, and all of that. So what we're gonna do? Well, all the Aussies said, well, we can't surf anymore because it's too dangerous. So they just started boogie boarding in the park, and they just slid down the. You know how you guys use snow? We just used water and mud and just started sliding down the hill.
I can respect it. I know that if you go to West Africa, they also just do it on the sand dunes.
Look, this is the thing. Australians don't give a shit. We are a country that has mastered the subtle art of not giving a fuck. Like it just. Why should we?
The subtle art. I don't think the Aussies are ever subtle about it.
The effects can be unsubtle, but the art is subtle.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
The one thing I will say is that one thing that an American on TikTok said that has stuck with me ever since is that Australians have one singular purpose. We have one collective brain cell.
Oh no!
Which is if we have the chance to fuck with someone, we will.
Yeah.
And and so basically, yeah. So I'll tell this story. So what happened was, this girl relayed this story about how traumatized she was as a kid until she realized she was getting pranked. She had come over from America.
I can't believe your trauma was a prank. Wait a minute.
She came over from America. She came over from America, and she was like, "Wow, Australia's like, Australia's like the movies, the kangaroos in the streets and all that sort of thing. But where are the kangaroos? I don't know." So she went to school that day and asked, "What happened with all the kangaroos?" And one of the guys in the class said, "Oh, look, it's a bit of a tough story here. They are present like that in other towns. You see, in our town, it was a bit different. We had to do a massive kangaroo cull here because one of the bull kangaroos came in the pub one afternoon. It came around the area, and actually one of the patrons tried to stop him, and the kangaroo got aggressive and killed a little kid, and so we had to cull all the kangaroos in the area. And so we've had to cull all our kangaroos, and we were very upset about it, but oh my god, are you serious?" And so no, you're fucking with me. So she goes to ask another Australian, and she says, "Is that true?" And the other Australian has no idea that this has happened, but realizes that one of their classmates are fucking with them, and says, "Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yeah."
Oh, absolutely. You pick up on the gaslighting and you double down.
Yeah, and everyone in town did it. Everyone in town, like, no matter who she asked, the Australian they were talking to realized that one of
that moment of
one of our fellow
like,
countrymen.
every person in town hears it, not even like firsthand from people with the prank, but secondhand from the girl looking for advice, and it's me like, "No, that's total bullshit." I mean,
and then
yes.
just
No, it wasn't even that.
There's no reaction of total bullshit. There's no like, "Oh yeah, that happened."
No,
yeah, 100%.
That's like the mental process for a second where they're like, "That's such a weird story." Oh, somebody's taking the fucking piss.
Yeah, exactly how that's going. And so the entire town, like the moment she asked someone about it, even the teachers were like, "Yeah, 100%. That's exactly what happened." And it wasn't until a week later that they told her, like, "No, we've been fucking with you this entire time." Like, same thing about drop bears, everything. The moment someone asks us if something's true, as I said, the dumbest interaction I've ever had with an American was asking me about Australia, having this sort of cultural interchange like we're having right now. And he was a good old boy from South Carolina, right? And he asked me if we, seeing as koalas are bears, he asked me if we hunted them. And I'm like, I thought about the logistics of that, and I was thinking to myself,
they hunt us.
I should have said, no, what I actually said was the reality, which is why I was laughing so hard. He's like, "What's so funny?" I'm like, "You gotta understand, koalas sleep in trees for 12 hours a day, if not longer. So that would be like the most boring hunt ever. Imagine you're out there with Cletus and your 12 gauge pump action. You're going hunting for bears and you're walking through the woods. It's not like coming across a grizzly and fighting for your life or stalking up on the grizzly while it's eating the salmon at the river
or anything.
No, it's literally, you walk through the forest for about 45 minutes until you see a grey blob of fur in the tree. You're like, "Found one!" He's not moving, he's asleep, he's just sitting there. He's just like...
Yeah, you can't do that though right now because they're endangered. Did y'all ever do that? I don't think koala was ever good for eating.
No, they have syphilis, so you can't do that. And the
chlamydia. Yeah, that's right. The massive fucking...
They are very...
Wait, was it syphilis? I thought it was chlamydia or something.
It's chlamydia.
Okay.
Yeah, it's chlamydia.
Okay. I've got it on film, chat. I've got it on film. Hold on.
No.
Yeah.
Put this up for the audience. There you go.
James Cook, one of the early explorers who first came to Australia, he actually
fucking look at her.
And what they found was that these things kept dropping out of the trees and attacking them, and they thought they looked like little bears, so they were like, we'll call it a drop bear. And so
this is commitment, and I love it.
She's wearing like full airsoft padding.
Oh, absolutely.
It looks very like a koala.
Yeah, like a
and fucking ski goggles.
The video was released to raise awareness because of the bushfires.
They're even hamming it up. Like, don't make eye contact. Don't look at him.
So the difference between this and a normal koala,
It's
firstly, you can see
fucking
the
beautiful.
size.
Look at this little
So
fuck.
it's got those black hairs that are almost like bristles. They actually come out a lot further.
Oh,
You can
yeah.
tell him that he has needles.
Really, really coarse.
Keep your hands down nice and low.
Okay.
Alright, just gonna flat
Just
hand.
keep him from looking at you. Don't look at him. Don't look at him. Don't maintain eye
Oh,
contact.
they are so committed. I love it.
Okay.
She's terrified. This poor girl.
Keep him calm.
Meanwhile, this koala just gives no shits.
I'm trying
He'll hold on to anybody you hand him to, probably.
I'm worried. We've been told that
As long as you don't start yelling at
a
him.
dangerous bear
Oh,
that's been
yeah.
known to attack people. It's called a drop bear because they drop out of the tree to attack people.
Sure.
And
Prank the British
put on all
more.
this protection gear because of what it might do to
Totally the guy not having protection gear that walked up.
I'm not sure what it's doing right now. It's looking at what? Okay. Right. Right.
Meanwhile, the koala
I thought
just
he was
looks
gonna
like
get you.
every... Meanwhile, every koala looks like your
What is the
stone
fucking
friend looking for
censoring?
munchies. And there's the kangaroo in the background.
Take it off,
Please take it off me. Okay.
Alright.
Okay.
There you go.
Baby.
All right. Good work, Sam. Thanks, mate. That's great.
Thanks, mate. Fucking got her.
You look great.
He was smirking the whole time, too. You know he was holding it fucking back. Fucking Aussies.
Totally brought this. Totally brought this.
Every person that comes back from Australia after vacation.
It doesn't feel like
Actually,
it's
yes.
in your face. It's
Literally.
just like,
So how was your vacation trip? Fucking Aussies, man.
She's dying. Holy crap.
Get fucking shat on.
Oh.
Yeah, here they are, little guys. Yep,
Look at
they.
the little guy. Oh.
I still think of the video I remember seeing of people like giving bottled water to koalas during like wildfires. I think this is like back in like 2017 though. That videos that came out.
But they have, and we're going to do
No, that happened. That happened in the. That happened during the bushfires. Here's the
Yeah.
photo. It is absolutely adorable. It's a very sad photo, but it's a very great photo.
I am waiting
Here
for
you
photo.
Here you go. The koala's name was Sam.
No, Sam.
Just
Baby.
Oh, yeah.
He's a little.
yep.
He's a little
That's
guy. He's a little guy.
Look at
He's a little guy.
him.
the most.
I remember
one of the
seeing
most
enough. There was like a
Australian
video a
pictures.
while back too of like footage of like a koala basically running across the street during bushfires years ago. And there was like the volunteer firefighters were there and they just like gave him water in the middle of the road. Because apparently I'm guessing this is not a uncommon phenomenon during bushfires.
Yeah.
I mean, their house is burning down basically, so they have to.
Yeah.
move.
We during bushfires, it's very common for fireys and the local community to rescue koalas. We do it a lot. Because they can't get away.
Yeah. And they probably
Yeah.
like what? I don't think normally they have like a whole lot of predators. Right? Like they're not
No,
exactly a species known for defending themselves against large predators. So like instinctually they will go to people. No, I wouldn't say instinctually. Sorry, not instinctually. Out of necessity. Because they never seem that afraid. Is it a quokka situation? Am I wrong? Am I forgetting some major predators in Australia?
No, the major predators can't get to them.
Because the major predators are in the water.
If you want to see a couple of really, or is it just one? It's just one.
Wait, my eyes
have-
I thought it was a vodka bottle. Wait, where? Iman, did you pull up the vodka bottle again?
No.
Huh, weird.
No, it's a water bottle. No,
That's a
Oh,
water
the guy
bottle,
holding the
yeah.
water bottle. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
right here. This is emblematic of Australia. During really hot weather, we will leave ice cream tubs out of water for local wildlife.
Oh, it's
And this is
Happen?
an inland taipan having a drink from
He having
water
a
trough.
sip. He having a
He's
sip.
having a sip. That chat right there is the single deadliest animal on planet Earth, by the way. That is actually the single deadliest animal on planet Earth.
And he's fucking slurping that water.
There he goes.
That is not just a danger noodle. That is the danger noodle. That is the most
danger
dangerous
noodle
noodle.
to compare other danger noodles to.
The inland taipan, to quote Steve, God rest his soul, has enough venom to kill 1,000 blokes my size.
I still
just
can't
one
get over
bite.
the fact that what did him in wasn't a snake or a reptile, but it was a fucking stingray.
Yeah, and this is the thing. This is the thing that really bothered me. I'm like, look, we knew Steve was going to go out stupidly someday, but from a stingray, from a fish, that's not on. I was hoping Steve would go out at age like 60. You know, he'd been doing it for too long and he slowed down a bit, and one of the mammoth crocs fucking snaps him in half. That's how I was hoping Steve would go, but
Yeah, not stingray to the chest. Yeah.
Yeah.
When are you gonna put Steve Irwin on your money?
Look, unironically, everyone thinks the royal family of Australia is the same as Britain's. No, our royal family is the Owens. No one has a bad word to say about it.
Zoo is the national monument.
Yeah, no, their zoo actually is Australia Zoo is Australia's official like national zoo.
Yep.
And it's run by the Owens. Terry runs it now. Bindy's a mum now, which is fucking weird.
That's insane
the
to
son,
think about.
He's married and
Robbie.
I think has one kid already.
No.
Or last I remember was a long time ago. His wife was pregnant.
No, Robert Irwin is not married.
He's not? I could have swore he was.
No, it was Bindi you're thinking of. Bindi is his sister. No. Robbie Irwin is 21 years old. Fuck me. He can drink. Oh, Jesus, you can drink in the US. He can drink before, but Robbie is 21.
I think he was older than that. He always seemed older than that, I think, and just because it feels like I've seen him so long working at the zoo. Damn. I hope Robert Irwin lives to about 62 or so and then gets snapped in half by a crocodile, because apparently he's doing the same shit his dad did.
Oh, Robbie's fucking insane. Robbie's insane. Like, Robbie's done some crazy shit. Robbie jumped on his first crocodile, like, age 16. Like, he just jumped on the
first time was on, like, the Crocodile Hunter series.
Like, the reboot, yeah. The Crikey, It's the Owens, yeah.
Crikey, It's the Owens is the only thing it could possibly have been called.
I don't think we ever had that show. I thought Over Here was always the original show name. I don't remember. It's been so long.
What is Robbie doing these days? Oh, that's right. He's the co-host of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. Okay.
Huh? Hate that.
Ah!
With a damn whale shark? Whale sharks are harmless.
He was a guest on Australia's licensed version of RuPaul's Drag Race.
That's hilarious.
That's great.
I saw the dude swim with the damn whale shark. You say damn whale shark, like whale sharks are not in fact the safest and easiest shark to swim with in the world.
Whale sharks are great.
They also have known breeding grounds at this point, as well as known breeding locations. So there's an industry around taking people out to go swimming with whale sharks. Not hard.
I mean, look.
Talk to me when you start going swimming with a megamouth. Good luck finding that motherfucker.
Well,
how the first discovery of a megamouth came about?
No idea, actually.
A megamouth was discovered because somebody thought it was a megalodon while flying over it in a passenger airplane.
The megamouth shark. Wow, that's a big fish.
Yeah, it's a huge fucking fish.
We also have so few sightings of them, though. Like, there's single-digit sightings of megamouth sharks because they're so elusive. Which is kind of interesting because my dad also had footage of spotting one when he was a pilot. I wish I had the picture, because you can spot them like with their mouth open, just swimming away. Here's a droopy one.
Don't they live?
They live way up north. Cold water.
Don't these bad boys?
Oh my god.
These are the guys that live at the same depth as like the giant squid and shit. They are deep water fish, right?
Sometimes.
I believe so.
And then of course there's this one.
Like
this is usually what they'll be doing when you spot them. I think this is a different one though. This is Megamouth. What am I like this? I think this one is mislabeled. I think. Huh? Because this is the one that I was thinking of, but also this looks like Cis bombascus. Right here. Look at this. Tell me that's not Cis bombascus. Cis bombascus.
God damn it.
Basking shark. That's it.
Big fish.
Big fish.
This bitch.
Yeah. So you see in Australia, the reason why we go on this topic of discussion, you know that peninsula to the west of my city that I was talking about?
Yeah.
That's where they filmed the live action shots for Jaws.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah,
the
basking
water's
shark
off
is really cool, but also kind of terrifying to look at in its own little way. They always look ancient.
They're big.
Oh, here's what you can
angry
expect
sharks.
if you ever see one from the surface.
Yeah, they're big boys.
Oh, they're huge. Like, let me see. Basking shark from plane. Like, that's a pretty obvious basking shark. The funny thing too is they're very slow swimmers whenever they have their mouth open.
So I'm just going to point this out.
Mm-hmm.
This is enhanced and zoomed in.
This one?
But
or what you're
this photo right here was taken from an aircraft.
Oh yeah.
That
is a great white.
That is off my beach. That is off my local beach. That, after analyzing the photo from the aircraft, that shark is 7 meters long.
Ugh.
Yeah.
That is a big fish. He is a big. We get big fish.
It's also because
and so yes,
Australia is, if I remember correctly, well, the Pacific technically. Oh, yeah, Pacific. The Southern Pacific is also a notorious breeding ground for great whites. I'm trying to remember the name of the island. There's an island, I think, north of Australia. That's essentially, it's like a finned island. I'm trying to remember it's basically shaped like a fin. There's literally like basically no land you can stand on it because it just juts straight out of the water, straight from the ocean floor. And it's a known breeding ground. It's so dense with sharks that they always recommend that time of year, just don't bother going in the water.
Mm.
I can't remember the name of the island. It's basically a no-go zone, if I remember correctly, for a lot of places. But I do remember Shark Week one year literally having a special where they like sent a camera team and divers out there with a steel cage to check it out. Made a monster design based on a basking shark mouth attached to a giant cobra. I hate that. I hate that. And we were going to talk about food today, and then I managed to bring in the two dinguses that can always derail me.
Well, it's okay because I'm going to go to bed now because it's 6 a.m. But
yeah, and I gotta start getting ready anyway. So
good luck, everybody.
Aye.
Embrace the Eldritch Booba woman. Shower her with gift subs.
It's true.
Goodbye. You'll be remembered. Damn, I can't believe the Australian wildlife got him.
Man, feels bad, man.
The bushfire, the natural enemy of the pack koala.
I'll give him some water. He'll be fine.
Oh, thank God.
Well, I'm gonna head out. Also, I gotta get ready for tonight and everything. Gotta get some work done before.
What are you doing tonight?
I got BioShock tonight.
Oh, still playing the first one?
I'm not still playing. I had to cancel this weekend because I had a bunch of stuff going on.
Oh, I thought you were playing it the other day.
No.
Maybe I was watching somebody else play BioShock the other day. A lot of people are playing BioShock recently.
I don't know. But either way, I had to cancel this weekend because I had a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, I'll be playing that tonight at 7. So stop on by, I guess. And then I got Hello Kitty Island Adventure tomorrow.
Yes, excellent.
I fucking hate it here. Anyway, I'll catch you later, Baron. Goodbye, chat. Have a good one.
Goodbye, Emots. Can I get a shout out for him whenever the cooldown's up? I just tried to do it, but it said 59 seconds until I can do it again. Hello Kitty always. Oh no, Sunstar. Biomarin win? What do you mean Biomarin? What do you mean Biomarin? Elaborate. Elaborate. Anyway, who wants to see what a Japanese Costco looks like? Because I can always get derailed on more serious topics and more serious food discussions with other people, but it's kind of hard to just kind of chill and vibe with goofy shit like this. Biomarin needs no elaboration. Okay, but you're gonna get like the equivalent of Biolante. Listen, I'm sorry. You gave me no specifications, so you're gonna get something equivalent of this. Thank you for shouting out, Emots. I don't make the rules. You didn't give me any parameters, so that's what you're gonna get. That's what you're gonna get. Anyway, Costco. Also, I don't need to have captions on for this particular channel. Was that the car sound? Why did that sounded more like annual membership is $32? Really? I thought it was more. I thought that was monthly. I thought it was $30 monthly. Jesus. Hey, Shinramian. Bacon. Wagyu. Juice. Meat salad. Scrimps. Scrimps is bug chat. Scrimps is bugs chats. Yo, Biolante, yeah. I'll take it. Oh no. Oh Jesus. Oh wait, hold on. Is he just gonna eat this now? Oh god damn it. God, oh wait. I wanted to explore the place. I don't want to watch this dude eat. Here, cafe time. Skip to the cafe. Yo, that cake actually looked pretty decent. Give me that whole sushi platter. I mean, it's probably a steal in terms of cost. Oh, good lord. All right, show me the pizza. To buy their entire menu for less than 50 USD? Christ. No eat, only buy? No, I just want to see like the whole place, but they just showed like a very few selections here and there. You're winning today. What are you winning today? Oh. Yo, a free pound. Sweet. The only good brisket is free brisket. Hold on. I want the pizza, dude. I don't want to see every like individual item you have. Wait, is that chowder? Clam chowder from fucking Costco, man. Fucking love chowder, dude. Chowder is so good. Oyster crackers. Listen, it's hard to fuck up chowder. Chicken stick. Chat, do you like your chicken in stick form? These always just make me think of the, who remembers the Burger King chicken fries? Does Burger King still have those chicken fries? I don't know. I haven't been to Burger King in fucking over 10 years. I don't like Burger King. It just made me think of that. They still have them? I know, let's say, I know some of y'all out there go $1.25 for the hot dog. Hell yeah. Does that soda have like a coffee lid? It looks like a coffee lid. Sir, please, sir, no! Sir! The lemonade is broken. That one's not. This is, sir. You know, honestly, like a Pepsi and lemonade sounds interesting. Yes, mix it up. Mustard. I don't like regular yellow mustard. I need some snazzier mustard. I need like a spicy mustard, a Dijon mustard. Sorry, that was a lot of onions and you did nothing to spread them over the hot dog. It's Costco hot dog. How can you fail? How can it fail? Same here, stone ground, please. I agree too. Oh shit, that's a decent looking piece. Well, I say decent, but it kind of looks like a DiGiorno almost. Fuck, I want pizza. And I was gonna make curry tonight. I'm still gonna make the curry tonight. Fuck, dude, why did I have to see so much pizza today? So much. I'll get pizza tomorrow. I have like all day tomorrow off. Last week, there's so much more pungent than usual. Good. Oh, is this a chicken bake? Okay, no, in Japan, it's bulgogi bake. Bulgogi bake. Bulgogi. Has anybody ever had the chicken bake at Costco? I've never, like I said, I've never been to Costco. Salmon poke roll. Huh. Oh. Okay. It's very simple, it looks like. It looks like a frozen pizza, but I'd still eat it. I wonder if it is. I wouldn't doubt if Costco ends up just having frozen pizzas that you just have to slap toppings on top of. Cody made the double chip chocolate cookie in a cave! That one looks a little overcooked. Okay, it's more than a little overcooked, but it looks damn good. I used to bake cookies for a company I worked at because, and I quote, nobody else can do them as good as you. So I'd be the one that would bake cookies every morning. And it was always funny too, because the days that like I wasn't there or the days that I didn't have like morning shift or opening shift, people would come over, like fellow employees, because they'd usually get like a cookie with their free meal during the day. They would come get it and they'd like have the cookie and they'd come back later and they'd be like, so Marin didn't make the cookies today? And I'd like peek out because I'd usually hear my name and be like, no, so-and-so did. And every time somebody like, well, fucking fix it then. Where's the carnival cookies? Carrie ate them. Blame Carrie. Blame Carrie. All right, chat. I want to do the other video that like looked super interesting, which is this, which is apparently an old traditional Chinese communal housing. Like some thick, she likes some chunky. She likes some plump. About cookies, yes.
Imagine
I like my.
all the kids they've been running over this one big circle. It's
Listen,
like
I like my
running on the playground.
This is such an interesting little building. The biggest in Fujian, perhaps not the biggest, but the most populated. Oh. Wait, perhaps the world. Wait, this whole place counts as one house. 500. Wash your greens, kids. Song Shin Lo, Song Hao Lao, Hao Lu. Damn it. Damn it. See, it looks like a Globe Theater. I see a Globe Theater. It's very Unseen China, episode 7. Oh. Fujin. Just don't make the landlady mad. I've seen Kung Fu Hustle. Oh, good lord.
Season 2 mainland China, and I promise to show you China that you can hardly see in other channels. So today this episode is about Tulou or Weilou.
Does the background look more in focus than her face?
In a circular or rectangular configuration, and it's immense. It's huge. It can house up to 800 people.
Up to 800.
Basic knowledge about Tulou. So Tulou is a very popular communal residence, mainly for Hakka people, but
I
also
like that.
for some Minnan.
Called it a castle leaf, but that's just interestingly shaped apartment building. I mean, technically, I wouldn't doubt if like apartment buildings essentially grew out of this like tradition or something similar. Also, who is that? Gizmo, thank you for the 5 bits. How are you doing, dear? Is that a capybara? But yeah, I wouldn't doubt if like this kind of communal housing eventually kind of evolved into apartments as it is now. She's probably going to talk about it, so I guess we'll probably learn that there's some differences, at least in their origin.
Especially in Nanjing and Yongding.
They may be like apartments now, but I wouldn't doubt if they were, goodness, different in their inception.
To a place called Guzhuxiang, because when I opened Google Earth, I found Tulou spreads all over the region.
I also wouldn't doubt that they probably started as like large family homes, is what I'm guessing. And then as it modernized, it likely turned into this is what I'm just guessing, is it probably functions very similar to like how I guess wealthy people generally do even today, where it starts out as maybe like a family house. And as the family gets bigger, you need more space. You make it larger. You build more buildings. You kind of expand outward. And then like maybe you get so wealthy that you end up having like maybe servants or farm hands or anything of like the sort. And so then you just keep expanding it out and out and out. And I guess eventually what the penultimate is probably the 600 or 800 maximum people. Marriage sources being trust me, bro. I'm speculating. This is me guessing. This is me guessing. She'll probably correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just mostly guessing in terms of. I could be wrong. I could just as easily be wrong. Buns? Did it say buns? Taro steamed stuffed buns. Oh, okay. So the bun itself is made out of taro. It's not the stuffing is taro. See, we got food in there somewhere. We got food in here at some point. Ooh. Fucking. God dang it. Why are meat pockets so good? Every culture has meat pocket food. And they're delicious every time.
It's like 5 kilometers away from here.
Also, Impy, it's not polite just to say somebody is like, trust me, bro. I'm like, I could be wrong. Trust me, bro is usually a way you brush off somebody and insult their intelligence.
Since it's a touristic zone, so it's more well-maintained.
Meat pocket.
And I am going to a place that is not touristic. It's near the Spring Festival.
Not touristy.
So they're coming
Wait, what is that big ass brick building behind her? All the New Year's scrolls.
I really don't like this mountain bike because when you ride, you have to lean forward, and it hurts my ass.
I was gonna say that's just the headset though. Just, like the trust me, bro is funny, but it's usually in terms of like somebody saying it ironically. In like the case of here, I think the point that made the meme popular would be like basically not quite popular, but it's been a thing for like the longest time. But it makes me think of the Armstrong thing, where it's like my sources, I made it the fuck up. Also, wait a second. Do y'all see that there's hollow spaces over there? We're going to visit, looks like an abandoned house. It does look like it's mostly abandoned. Like a huge chunk of it is just gone. Ah, yes, merch.
Abandoned house. 安徽的。对。
You came with public transport? Aw.
自己坐车过来的。
Yeah, it looks like it's built in sections that can be constructed and deconstructed as necessary. That's cool. I like that. Diarrhea pockets. Sorry, Jim Gaffigan ruined Hot Pockets for me. I just don't like the ham and cheese Hot Pockets. They look gross. Wait, it's only 50 years old? They build new houses and no longer live here? Dang. But it is interesting that it seems to be almost modular. So it's basically just a form of like multi-cell housing. One's the most popular, too low. Oh. Or this one. This one was the most popular. Look at that fucking gate.
This must be the one. 深远楼.
Huh. Would you like to lose your appetite today? What happened? Ah, there's the president.
对，来看土楼。
你是哪里啊？
安徽的。他们跟我说这个土楼特别大。
特别大。福建最大的。
I was gonna say, okay, this is the 800 room one.
住人最多啊。
可以说全世界最多，以前住。
Perhaps the world's most populated house. Perhaps.
差不多都600了。
啊。
就是最多的。以前家好像这里住人很多，到下面有住的，住到满满的。
哦，就是这边住不下了，然后又加了一圈。
以前穷啊，没有钱啊，不会建房子啊。
There was no money, so it was like we built it anyway.
Grandpa, he told me like this is a well with very sweet fresh water. 啊，里面还有一条金鱼呢。
There's a goldfish. Oh no.
好几条。
好几条呢。
哦，这个水好清哦。
Huh. I don't know if I trust how blue that water is. That's usually a sign of something. Then what's it on? I occasionally watch August, but what's it on? Please tell me it's not the pink sauce lady. Please tell me it's not the pink sauce lady again.
We are cooking. 你好呀。
You can see the water drain.
做什么？做午饭吗？
不是。做米。
Oh.
那个包子、冬笋、香菇，萝卜。
Oh, he's making vegetable steam buns.
打开来就是这样子啊。
Wow.
Oh.
This is very interesting because that baozi was wrapped in a plastic bag and then they steamed
no.
the bag together. I've never seen this in my province. 大伯，您在这边这个楼里面住了多久呀？
Listen, this old man's just plastic maxing before he goes, okay? He's plastic maxing. A Japanese guy doing cooking crimes? Let's not. Oh? Oh, by Taoist cosmology.
就是一圈是64个房间。
Okay, I guess. That's
64个门，然后每一层都有
64 rooms.
有啊。
So 8 rooms in each section. In each fraction.
就是按照八卦的布局来的。864个。
Love Bagua and Taoist cosmology. It's very interesting. Especially because it doesn't come around that often these days. The lady just watching her, just like, what's going on?
The same family name, Su. So in the past, the ground floor is the kitchen. Second floor it's a storage, and third, fourth floor it's the bedroom.
Oh.
It's this one is
So it is more built like it's from a single family.
It's much bigger than the ones in Hongkong in the scenic zone.
Or just for Bagua for the Korean flag? Oh yeah, I know that. I can say, but it's not usually it comes out of like other things other than like I guess this is what you have to do when you're urban farming. Shockingly, I'm guessing they have to let them out at different points. Because those birds actually looked pretty decent for being in basically that box. They didn't know much, didn't go to school? Huh. Okay. The thing too with the translations is they keep using the word they, which makes me think the people that live here aren't like the original family that likely built the place. I don't think they've said anything. I didn't miss them saying any of that, did I, chat? Like it's still pretty straightforward. Also, can I get a snooze on the ads?
But here it's the authentic Tulu.
Hi, Big Bean. How are you doing? What trouble are you getting into? What shenanigans are you up to? Wait, the ads are going? Oh shit! It says ends. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. I'm sorry. We're just gonna keep going. I'm sorry, chat. I thought it was still counting down. I can't fucking read apparently. That explains why I also don't know what they're talking about. Good harvest. Oh wait. What did she say this was? Rice for borrow? Okay. Taking a fuzzy baby to the vet? No, it's the fuzzy baby. Okay. Hi, Cressa. Whoopsie. Yeah. I always fuck up ads all the time. I need to make something that like will like automatically change stream whenever like the ads come up. Oh, they live here. Okay. Marriage room. room.
你的以前的婚房。对呀，给你看一下。It's a room for her when she got married.
Oh.
That's like over 20 years ago. 好，
现在都比较不好了。
Just so much random stuff in
你
here.
们都在外面打工嘛？
对呀，
对吧？
随便啊，回家里都很少回来住的。
It's I think she used it more as a storage room now.
小兔子是吧？
Baby rabbits?
哎，他拖来那里加一块啊。拖来磨盘哦，哦，磨盘啊，哦，没有在这边，在下面。哦，那个也拿来养兔子的。
The jar? Wait, what?
这个缸是用来养兔子的呀？
以前大家都这样子养，都没地方养。就是最
Wait, raising rabbits in jars? Oh, I feel kind of bad.
然后楼上为了养动物就放在缸里面。
I guess necessity requires it.
把3-4个缸啊，这个门口把2-3个缸。
Okay.
很好，以前这里有拦起来，这边有瓦，这边有瓦，
Wait, a shelter?
你看我的瓦都不懂哪里去，这是我的吧？
对。
Oh, there were tiles.
有这样弄出来啊，一个，弄出来还有铺瓦了。
Look at all the wires down there. Oh my goodness. How you doing? Been doing the Monster Hunter story? Got the first Rathalos fight? Ooh! Micro rabbit apartments. Mini micro apartment. Just, I wish she would have shown us the jars. I kind of want to see how big the jars are. Oh, okay. Those wide mouth jars. The big looking pots there, I think, are the ones that she's talking about.
Those are for the wines. Those are for the rabbits. 像这个就是爬上去住的喽。
啊，对，
Oh?
隔再隔，太多孩子了。
So when the family split in.
6个，我都5姐妹。
Okay.
5兄弟1个姐姐，6个，其实也挺大的，
是吗？
也可以站呢。
也可以站着。
Oh, it's like an attic space. Okay. I didn't realize they were already on the top floor.
其实也很亮的，后面你看。
Yeah, the old school Chinese wine jars. I believe the Japanese still do make wine in those. I'm sure there's a lot of Chinese people that still do. It's probably actually an extremely common method. But I'm trying to remember, is sake still made in jars? I bet jar wine slaps. I bet jar wine slaps too. Yeah, it's probably stellar.
This one big circle. It's like
Oh yeah, you still make kimchi in jars. I do know that. It's the thing with like a lot of those things is investing in like the earthenware and stuff for like fermenting, for salting. There's a lot of uses for jars. Unfortunately, in America, every time somebody says jar, instead of thinking like these massive top little like earthen jars, everybody's like, a mason jar? No, not a mason jar. Although big glass jars are pretty good. Big glass jars were also pretty. We're a little more common than I think the earthen ones in the West.
That's the outer or the temple.
I'd be surprised if jars are still made in jars at some point. I mean, we use barrels for alcohol.
There are 3 doors in this house.
Huh.
你的粉看着很好吃。我说你的粉看着很好吃。
You just gotta pull the noodles. Wait, Hakka? What is Hakka? I'm gonna guess it's some kind of like plant or root. Showing off the drone. It looks like... It seems like most of the people here are quite a bit older. So maybe there's like older members of the family and like all the younger ones have either like moved away or... I would doubt if they're working. They're probably working. It is probably midday here. At least that's what it looks like. Because she did say, what, this place houses 500 people? Like currently, I think, but can like maximum 800. So yeah, that's what I'm guessing. It's kind of interesting. Oh, what do we got? She brought her dumplings? She brought her dumplings? Oh, it's the buns. It's the buns from earlier. I don't think I like... Oh, wow. It's so gooey. That's a nifty little village building. It's huge. The neighbors.
园，我们盐寨，
盐寨，
我哋講煙柴，煙柴，
烟柴，
煙柴，
You wouldn't try?
客家话叫烟柴，
大煙柴，
太烟柴，
大鹽寨嘛，
大盐寨。
哎，
Oh.
樓哦，以前哦，那個乞丐進來，他不懂出去。
We're building it fast. Beggars couldn't find their way out?
兩個農民一樣大的，一個
Wait,
最大的
what?
哦
How could you not find your way
他
out?
知道回來
It's a courtyard, my guy.
生意他都抓不到，我們都是撞來撞去
Oh, for sure. I mean, like, that here. They said, like, in the past when they were, like, building and everything and increasing the size, like, that one house, if it's, like, is claiming that its current population has a 500 people live there, and its maximum is 800, that's a larger population than a lot of, like, rural towns in, like, old US. Probably when that place was, like, built, or the concept was still developing. Oh, is this a square one?
快醒醒，快醒醒！
新年好。
你看它这个很漂亮。
对。
Aw.
你看。
对。
Oh, wow. I didn't realize for a second, but the courtyard...
built with bricks. And inside this courtyard,
Yeah.
you can see there are beautiful patterns.
You can also see how they've been worn down by people walking on them.
And also there are some
I fucking love courtyards, yeah. Oh.
And this lovely grandma, he's 88 years old.
Wait, there's a business sign there. Looks like she's wrapping something. Holding... Okay, it looks like a New Year's thing. We need more houses with courtyards. Chat, if you ever build a house, try to get a courtyard. Have an empty space where you have like a little bit of privacy. And the internal part, because fuck the neighbors. We don't need neighbors here. Or even better, build the house around the outer property line and have your courtyard be your yard.
我那个新楼后面的也是3个楼半截楼连在一起的。
I've always loved like the like stone wall courtyard style architecture and housing that like a lot of Asian countries have had in the past.
后面我再靠一座就是请得切那个墙了。
See a town made of like 4 or 5 of these clustered up together? That would be neat. I can see that.
不然以前做一个楼也是很麻烦的。 但是它是都是
Oh god, that fan up there on the ceiling looks really familiar.
机器都没有的。
Although that single light bulb that's on above her, it looks like it's taped up there. Build a giant dark cube, which is nice on the inside, all cool and stuff. You could do it. You could do it. It would be interesting. I mean, you could get spiffier with it on the outside and stuff. Play ball in their yards and we'll cross through our yard. We all fought to keep it semi-communal. Aw, that's cute. I like that. Confuse the Google Maps peeps. Oh. Yeah, and here we have a giant office building. Wait, this is a residential section. That's a house? More steamed buns.
就我们做的那个包咸包嘛，这样子啊。在一起。
Oh no, once I move and I can start buying stuff again for the kitchen, oh, it's over. It's over for me. Chicken!
So
Oh, I love chickens.
The big house that we saw just now belongs to the grandma. She's a landlord. That's a rich family, and this side room belongs to the servants of that family.
Huh?
And they use this door to connect.
The door that's now bricked up. Amazing. Interesting. I'm not gonna look at that guy's teeth too much. Huh. Is that a apple? Oh, it's a pear. There's nothing inside, right? It's a very small pear, but I can understand that. Ducks. Wow, they have really big ducks. Even the ones like the regular Tulo. Oh. Oh, okay, this is one of the big square ones. I'm trying to see. Oh, that looks like a broken one over on the side. One that's like semi-demolished. Wait, you don't like the texture of pears?
This one is built in Ming Dynasty, and it's a
Oh.
rectangular Tulo.
Oh wow, wait, those floors look so much taller. Is she dusting? I think she's dusting the like upper awning. Probably getting spider webs.
In Hokkien, she told me it's called 四角楼,
Hold on.
because it's
Does it say Ming Dynasty?
This one has a history of about
What?
400 years old, dating back to Ming Dynasty. It was renovated last year. Otherwise,
Yeah, the Ming Dynasty
it
ended in
will be
1644.
a much worse condition.
Hi, Lucky. Welcome in. That's gotta be like. It's gotta be like a Theseus' ship situation, right?
During the spring festival, there is a lot.
Like it's just really well maintained and like taken apart and like putting it back.
So she told me
That's the closest Big Bean. It ended in 1644, and this was built during the Ming Dynasty. It could span anywhere from. Hold on, I just had it open.
So kind of a dragon.
I think it was 1300 something, 1368 to 1644. But I think it is also a mix of like ship of Theseus kind of situation, that it's just always repaired and fixed when it has issues. Have a Borgie? What is a Borgie? Is it a burger? Are you just saying you have a burger?
对。
我们就是很喜欢过年就回来，就这样，回来有家里就有年夜味。
对的。
Interesting.
外面哪里有？外面安安静静的。
Not a scenic zone? Oh. Usutali were more fun and authentic? Is that what that said? Authentic? Chickens! Fucking love chickens, dude. So there's a logical answer to this shit. I know, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's still the same thing. I was just saying that that's the phrase that I was going to use instead of like, it's not, I'm not saying that it's a different place. Ooh, 2 sections. So maybe that's the one that she went to that was like the inner house and the outer house where there's like a servant section. Oh wait, I think I see, oh wait, no, that's another stone courtyard. It just happens to be mossy. I don't think that's actually grass. It's very cool, I agree.
So this is the end of today's video. I'm so happy that I met her. She has a word for you.
你好，欢迎大家来土楼玩哈，来新年来玩哈，欢迎欢迎，热烈欢迎。
Oh, she's so cute. Okay, what's the word? Oh, translations? Hello? No, they just put in Hakka. They just said in Hakka. No, we didn't get the word. I think it had something to do with what she was holding. I think she was telling us about the plant. I don't know for sure. I do not know for sure. Damn it. Damn it. All right, guys, we're over 3 hours. I need to do some cooking today because I am making curry. So we're going to call it. I need to go do some prep and like make the bread and stuff. Go prep the dough for the naan because it's going to have to sit. All that jazz. But we will be back on Thursday, noon CST. Thursday is actually maybe a little bit of a busy day. We will be here doing our regular thing. And then Thursday night, we're actually going to be over at Maki, aka Kaiju Kanojo. Emot curry? No, not emot curry tonight, unfortunately. But, whoops. We are going to be over at Maki's playing Mecha Break because their beta is still going. Now, if you look, uh-oh. We're going to raid Izzy, but I just opened Izzy's stream and it looks like she's making I think it's a Monster Hunter monster version of herself where she like, it's a mix of being a hunter, but also a mix of like part monster, like probably one of the monsters. But we're going to raid Izzy. What do we want to do for the raid message, chat? What do we want to do for the raid message? What could we do? What could we do? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I think we'll just do have a good day. All right. I think we'll just do the brulee one. We'll just do the brulee. All right, chat. Like I said, I'll see you Thursday. Until then, thank you for being here. Thank you for being awesome. And thank you for enjoying the show. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to go cook and then I'm going to go deal with technical problems to try to figure out why the hell the 3D model isn't working. But until then, good night.